All right. And we are live. The last word with Lord Cognito, Ebontis, Travis, TieGuy Travis, and of course, a very special guest that Thursday evening campfire. Good to be back in the realm of the last word. Start with Ebontis. How we doing, sir? How have you been?
Been great. I know I raved about it last time, Remnant 2, and I've still been playing a bunch of it because it is just too damn good. So if you haven't played Remnant 2, I went like 25 minutes on the show last time and basically reiterated my entire review, so I'm not going to do it again. It's an amazing game, though. If you don't play it, you're missing out on a very fun, just really fun game that has a good amount of challenge and honestly just some really cool boss fights you don't want to miss out on. So definitely good to get some outside Destiny perspective, and it is a great way to do it because, you know, at some point there's a finite end to it, even though I'm about like 80 hours in and can't stop.
Nice.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna break 100. I know it before I get done with this thing because it's just too much fun.
Are
Yeah, I
you
love
how are you doing on all those secret archetypes? Have you found them?
I'm working on a couple more. I think I've got like 7 or 8. I'd have to go back and check, but I'm mostly spending time with some and like going through another campaign playthrough to get to that final area because I know one of them's in the final. So I'm trying to go through a campaign playthrough on veteran to get there. But I've also been distracted with like adventure modes looking for other things. So I keep getting distracted by like shiny object syndrome in that game, which is, oh, I could do this, or I could solve this puzzle, or I could do this other thing. But yeah, I'm also trying to go through and level up all of the archetypes because the higher your archetypes go, then the higher your relic shards go, and it's like everything builds. And this is a game like if you want the min-maxing nuance of in-game grind, like this game does it very well, actually. Like I can't tell you if it's better than Diablo because it's not going to last forever, but for a game that's not live service, they gave you a hell of a lot to work on. So they did great. All right. That's all for me for now.
Yes.
It was 25 minutes last episode, so I won't
Yeah,
do
he
it
gave us
again.
a full breakdown.
I
He gave us
win.
the
I win. You
idea,
weren't here.
TieGuy.
You weren't here, so I
Wow.
had to represent because
Yeah,
I know.
he held it down.
Nice.
And I know we tied on our review score. That was very cool. So.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm also playing a lot of Remnant. I handled the review for IGN. And I think my fiance and I are going to beat the game tonight, maybe for so that will be my 4th playthrough that I've beaten. So, and again, you know, the cool thing about this game is you go play it 4 times, and I saw a new boss last night that I didn't know was in the game. So like that's the cool part of the game is you just never know what you're gonna get. You know, and there's areas I've played through multiple times, and you know, Ebontis is sort of the build crafting guru here, and I think his endorsement in that regard is kind of the best you can get, right? Like the build crafting is real. It's got a tail to it. So that's been a lot of fun. But you know, that was my review last week. This week I'm on to new stuff. I'm reviewing Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Blasphemous 2.
Blasphemous looks cool. I don't know about Texas Chainsaw, but Blasphemous looks cool.
You know, I'm under embargo for both, so whom can say? But yeah, I've got some cool stuff coming up down the pipe. So keeping busy and finding some time to play Destiny as well. I, you know, just right before the show, I summoned and defeated the secret boss Glorbo, which I honestly didn't think they were gonna put that in the game. Very surprised and excited about that. So
for those who are unaware, could you explain what's going on here?
Yeah. So the players of various online games like World of Warcraft and Destiny have become aware of this phenomenon online of really crappy news articles that are going live on sites that appear to just be created by AI that look at Reddit and see what people on Reddit are saying and then turn that into an article, which is very annoying if you're a Destiny player and you're trying to keep up on Destiny news, and a lot of the content that comes to the top of your feed is just essentially, you know, clickbait trash. And so they decided to respond to this by tricking the AI into writing articles about stuff that aren't real by posting about it on Reddit until the AI wrote about it. And it turned out they really didn't have to try all that hard at all, because as soon as they started talking about Glorbo, not only did WoW get an article for it, but Destiny got an article for it, wherein the AI made up mechanics of how you summon Glorbo, which is maybe the best part. It apparently could not find the mechanics, so it just wrote its own instructions for how to do it. And hilariously, the instructions will get you killed in the final encounter of the dungeon if you follow them, which is kind of awesome. So it kind of reads like a you had a robot read too many where is or articles and then ask them to write instructions for how to summon a fake boss without ever having watched anybody play the game, and that is very amusing to me. So praise be Glorbo. It's a great week for Destiny. I think is the point here.
Oh my god, that's funny. That is hilarious.
Yeah. What job security I feel right now,
Yes.
watching the AI go down in flames, trying to cover the games industry, because it's already kind of a rat's nest trying to cover the games industry, and I don't know if an AI can navigate that, at least in the current day and age. So it's kind of a hilarious.
I feel like the early coverage for Remnant was so inconsistent because not everybody knew everything yet. Like if an AI tried to do that, they would have been probably wrong 80% of the time. I think early because you'd look stuff up and be like, I don't know. I don't think so.
So I'm friends with a lot of people at Gunfire Games, so they were sending me videos to mess with me. What they would like to do. They're a very funny group of people, the people at Gunfire Games, and they don't like me because I met them and they were like, this guy just sucks. So their favorite thing to do at Gunfire Games is to find people reacting to my review on YouTube and then send them to me. And the more petulant and hard to watch, the better. Like if it's somebody who doesn't understand the game screaming at my review, claiming I don't know the game, I'm gonna get sent that at least 4 times by their team.
I think I've got an idea who's sending some of those to you as well.
Yeah, Ben is definitely the chief offender in that regard. But yeah, they're very funny. So I watched several reactions, which I'll be honest, I've been writing reviews for a while, over a decade. I did not know that people reacted to reviews and made YouTube videos about it. I'll be honest. This is totally new to me. Didn't know it was a thing. And so watching it was wild, man. It was very wild. So
well, he was messing with me because you connected me with him, but he was messing with me in my review in the math that I ended up trying to say and how many archetype combinations there were, because I was helping Travis get a review. It's how I got to do my review. So we were playing a little co-op and chatting, and he was telling me how many archetypes he thought there were. So in my head, I did the math, and I was like, that's a lot. Well, let me bring it down to a number that sounds cool. And I said over 100 combinations. They won't tell you how many archetypes are actually in the game, but I think it ended up being an okay fact. But for the longest time, I was worried. I was like spreading misinformation, and he's over here sending me moments of like, it's just... you're going to be known for the misinformation guy and all this stuff like that. Like, I was like,
he's such a troll.
He was messing with me hard. He was having fun with it though, but that's what I was like.
You weren't even wrong. As it turned out, there are 11 archetypes in the game, which is hilarious. Do you know that people still haven't unlocked the final archetype? Have you been following that, E? The final archetype has been data mined. It's called Archon, and some people have gained access to it.
I'd heard that word, but I haven't.
Some people have gained access to it by hacking their save file and unlocking it. But the entire community still doesn't know how to actually unlock it for real in the game, which is kind of hilarious.
This is why this game is cool. As I said, 80 hours. I don't have.
It's a water cooler game. Yeah. It's the ultimate, like, you're talking to your friend and you're like, yeah, dude, this crazy thing happened in Revenant. And they're like, what, dude? I've never even seen that boss. Like, that's crazy. Yeah. It's super cool just to talk about it and watch the whole community react. And yeah, man, there's just, it's a great time for games. Also, I feel like if you don't play Remnant 2 now, you're never going to play it, because we've had a crazy couple months, and starting like a week from now, it's going to be
crazy
up until the end of the year.
That's going to be me in a minute, bro.
Dude, if you don't play it now, you're never going to play it. Like, they released this game at the perfect window of time, because I feel like it is a moment in time, and it's going to get
and they got a good window, and their stuff we'll talk about a little later. That not so good of a time. Right now was great.
Good a time.
Cog, what are you up to?
Yeah, I got sidetracked, man. I got accepted to the Tekken 8 closed beta.
I saw you tweeting about that. Yep.
And bro, I forgot.
Warang.
Warang. Yeah, man. Like,
that how you say it? Warang?
You know what? Namco doesn't even know how to say. They've mispronounced
Oh,
his
see, I would
name
say
in
Warren,
multiple.
so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so we don't. No one knows what the
Okay,
official
cool.
canon
I
pronunciation
don't
of
feel
his
so
name is. Look, the game is absolutely phenomenal. Unreal Engine 5. I'm not even going to hold you. There is nothing that looks better than this game from a fighting game perspective. It is leaps and bounds beyond. And respectfully, I love Mortal Kombat. I'm
I
going
was
to get
gonna
it.
say
It
even
looks
MK,
great.
MK one look good too. No, all right.
Not even listen. You knew they was flexing at the title screen when they have Kazuya's face up on the thing,
Oh,
and
it's
they
one of
let you
those.
manipulate it, and it's a graphical showcase of what it can do. Look, the game. I'll just be brief. The game is fun. They've completely redid all the animations, rewrote it from the ground up. It's a every character feels completely different. The thing that changed it is this thing called the heat system. So in Tekken, if you're a fighting game guy, there's usually what we consider the turtles, the guys that are very defensive. They
Yeah.
back at them, in the back away, back dash away from you at the beginning of the match. They try to wait for their openings and they counter. And then there's guys like me with the bulldogs. So it's the round one fight. I'm on you, right? Like I'm a bulldog by nature. So the heat, but I guess
you are. But
yeah, thank you. So in competitive play, generally the turtles win because they analyze, they back up, they assess. So what the heat system does, instead of having these passive matches that I guess people, Namco and Harada and them are trying to get people to engage more, what they're doing is you activate heat, your character starts to glow. If someone is turtling and you landing strings, you actually do chip damage. So it encourages the other side to respond. And then once they respond, then they can recover the damage that was chipped away, right? So it's a push-pull kind of a situation. And then they have
like
Rage
Bloodborne to get your health back.
Yes. So it creates these creative, like these competitive moments. It's extremely cinematic. The game's amazing. We're gonna test out the netcode that I played was initially just PlayStation at first because I did the closed beta on PS5. I think they're gonna open up to Steam and Xbox, and then I get to see how that is. And then of course, I played this game called Destiny. Finally did Solstice this week. Finally jumped in there. I know Patty's like, damn, they gonna talk about Destiny. And we finally did that,
Sometimes.
and I was able to, I still haven't got the damn rocket launcher. They keep giving me the shotgun every 5 minutes, but we'll talk about that later. And other than that, just getting ready for all the big games. I do probably, Diablo, I did my Nightmare Dungeon finally, and I'm scared to touch Sorcerer because of all the awful things that
I feel like wait for tomorrow's campfire chat
Yeah.
and then the patch that's supposed to buff barbarians and sorcerers. Like, I haven't
Right.
touched the new season yet either. And I was like, after hearing the sorcerer may get love like soon, I was like, all right, I'll wait and start my sorcerer then.
So what they're telling me is start a new character if you're going to try the Malignant season. That's not Sorcerer. Yeah, and you have to. So I might do that, just touch it, and then from there, if I do that, then I will at least try to give Remnant a chance because, like you said, it's been crazy. But enough about me. We have a very patient guest.
Yeah, sorry about
Listen
that.
to all our ramblings. We got to bring him in.
All right, welcome to the Last Word, episode number 259. We currently have one of the best years in gaming, obviously because we can't shut up about all of it. But sadly, not everyone has the same feelings about Destiny 2 this year. From taking breaks to play their fantastic games and getting perspective, parts of the game that have been most neglected for a very long time, or even the narrative choices for year 9 that seem to be rather divisive, the Destiny player base is dealing with a lot right now. Our guest tonight represents more than half of the player base who really need some positive news about the future, so the timing of his return to the podcast is perfect, and with the showcase less than a month away, we can't wait. Our guest tonight lives and breathes the FPS life. Recoil direction, perk synergy, TTK, these are just daily jargon for our elite PvP wizard. If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, you are doing yourself a disservice as a Destiny player. Epic interviews with top players like Saltograppo, Ceridius, and more to help you understand what makes the elite players tick. With many of his guides, you can go from noob to pro in less than an hour. So that will be very well spent, so I recommend you check some of those out. His tier lists are thorough, well-researched, and he will also make you look at exotics in a brand new light as well. After his tutelage, you'll be walking into the Crucible like Vince McMahon in the meme. To top it all off, this man enjoys the nuance of mouse DPI and gain sensitivity so much that he made his own mousepad company. So please go check out Ember Edge. Do this man a favor and check out his website. So let's welcome the man with the most calming voice on YouTube and also the most adorable and tasty looking logo you'll see anywhere. The one, the only, PattyCakes. How you doing, man?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks for the Ember Edge plug. I wasn't expecting that. That's nice.
I do my research.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
How you doing?
Flattered.
man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. It's been fun. We were talking. It's been like 2 years since I've been here. It's good to chat with everybody again.
I
It's been
popped up in
awesome.
the old Discord DM and it was like August 19th of 2021. I was like, damn,
Yeah,
it's been a while.
Yeah.
Patty, man, I gotta get the brass tacks with you, man. PvP loves in the realm of the campfire. So look, word on the street. A lot of Destiny content creators making a little video. I saw True Vanguard make a video, in reference to I felt was pretty honest, about how he felt in reference to the the PvP community and how he feels. Bungie is not really talking to him, and he's confident that the game will get in a good place. But at this current time, he as a content creator just can't continue to have confidence that it will ever happen. And he actually switching to like Starfield right now content for which I
I've
thought
been
was
following
interesting.
that. Yeah, I'm wishing him good luck with it. I hope that it works out well. I know it's tough as a creator to switch games, which we've all probably tinkered
Yeah.
with from time to
Yep.
time.
Yeah. So I just want to get, as a PvP main, what's your mindset right? How are you feeling? How are you processing everything? And what's your mindset moving forward with Destiny right now on the PvP
Oh
side?
man, it's been a tough time for PvP
Can
players, no
open.
doubt. Yeah,
Let's go. We got Travis here. I'm
where do we
taking full
start?
advantage. We don't get to
I-
have these talks.
Yeah. Well, like you said, it's a challenging time right now for PvP players. I was thinking about it the other day. I feel like there's always these stats about like how many PvP players and PvE players and whatever but I feel like the thing that those stats don't really take into account very well is that a lot of PvP players kind of have to do PvE to like get stuff for PvP, right? Like I was just thinking about a couple weeks ago, I was grinding Matador with some friends. I spent like 20 hours in that dungeon trying to get a perfect Matador roll. So like that time all counts as PvE time, right? But it's like I'm only doing it because I want a PvP roll. So it's like I feel like that's when people look at the stats and like, oh, there's only so many PvP players, like it's always a little bit skewed because it's like it's somewhat rare to have to go into PvP to get a PvE thing. There's been cases like Mountaintop and Recluse and whatever over the
Remember
years.
the pushback initially.
Yeah.
People like, I gotta go in. Even when Thorn debut from D1, I think there was PvP requirement from it.
Yeah, the void kills
the
and all
void
that.
kills.
Yep. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the numbers are like always there's a little asterisk behind them because it's like, their PvP players like have to play a lot of PvE so it boosts up those numbers. I think it makes it look a little bit more skewed than it is sometimes.
No, I agree. And I think that's a good point. I think it's also in reference to, the fairness and the balance that doesn't exist for the PvP player. Like you're right. Like a lot of times they have to do PvE content where I feel when the roles reversed, getting a PvE guy to step into PvP for any type of, reward, it's hard to incentivize that person. It's usually, so it gets to show you like the shift as far as the game is concerned. But I definitely wanted to start off by asking you that, just kind of like where you're at. And then my follow-up was just like, what do you need to see happen just, for you to feel more comfortable about the PvP sandbox and just in general about
what's it gonna take so you don't pull a true Vanguard?
Well,
you need to know.
Yeah. We'll see.
Few of us left.
So I actually think, over the years, I've kind of given up hope that it's going to be like some incredible PvP focused game, right? Like I think you're kind of delusional to think that they're going to magically turn into that. The thing that's been so frustrating for myself and pretty much everyone who's ever like put some energy into PvP is that you can see how much potential the game has always had since Destiny 1. Like it's always had this special feeling that no other arena shooter has ever really felt the same. And it's just, I think that's what the PvP players out there, that's what we like so much about it, is that it's just a cool, special game that there's just not really like, there's, Apex Legends and all these different games are kind of similar, but Destiny has its own like special feel of like the gunplay and the movement and abilities and stuff. So for me these days, I actually feel like it's pretty simple. I mostly just miss having really good connections to the game. Like, I'm not like the best player by any stretch. There's way, way, way better players than I am. But like in the bracket that I exist in, just based on like my account history, the games are just unbearable sometimes. It's like so laggy with the skill-based matchmaking. It's like you're only playing against people all over the world in different regions, and it's like everyone in those games plays like they're just so sweaty constantly. So it's like really, because I always like to play with kind of fun, different builds and try kind of quirky things. And it's just, it feels like you get punished really hard for doing that right now, which is a bummer. So I would say, like, to me, that's kind of the most important thing. I know it's probably unrealistic that we'll ever get dedicated servers. That would be like my number one wish list thing. But I mean,
Marathon got him.
I mean,
yeah, right. So it's I know they could do it, but it's like at this point, I'm not holding my breath for that one. And then the other thing is just I've always felt like there, we have quite a few PvP maps in the game, but like most people realistically only like to play like, I don't know, 5 to 10 of them. Like there's a lot of maps that are not super fun. So it's pretty clear that they're not going to like magically make like 20 new PvP maps tomorrow, right? Like they've been dripping them like one out every 3 years or whatever.
Yeah.
So like I'm not really anticipating that will happen. I do think a really good system though would be some form of like map voting or like even just community-based map voting where it's like maybe it's not in the game, but it's like people like that, through the TWAB or whatever, they vote once in a while, and then they just even weight the maps so that like the good maps happen more frequently and the bad maps happen less frequently. Like that alone would be a pretty nice compromise that would take, I assume, I'm not a developer, but I assume that would be easier than implementing some new voting system in the game.
Yeah, anytime you see disjunction, you're like, oh, it just like
Yeah,
takes
like,
the wind out of the sails for that whole
well,
match. And you're
I mean,
gone.
and not only that was also during the era where like they first introduced the whole idea of you couldn't quit out of the map that you didn't like without getting penalized. And it's like, come on. I remember getting disjunction like 4 or 5 times in a row. I was just like, I don't know how I'm still playing this game.
Like, I have to go watch a movie. This is it. I'm done.
Yeah, so it's just sad because it's like, I mean, I don't know. I think most people can see that it's always had some potential for being an awesome PvP game. And it is fun. Like I was just playing last night with some friends, which I've been playing way less Destiny than I ever have, but it's like I still hop on. I do my comp games for the week trying to get that sniper, which it's like probably the one gun that I actually want in the whole game from competitive. And so I'll hop on and do my 9 games, which is I still enjoy doing those, and then play some PvP with friends, just trying out different builds, and you could still have a good time. But it's just like, I think a lot of us think back to like, I don't know, maybe like Forsaken era or like the Opulence era. There was like some golden eras in D2 PvP that I miss quite a bit.
I do feel like, I mean, we've had a lot of PvP people on, like you and a couple of people multiple times as well, who are very PvP focused. I feel like map voting has been a very common thing. And I feel like there had to have been community summits where that has to have come up probably multiple times. Now, I'm not saying they don't want to do map voting so they don't get their feelings hurt about it, but I really like this map as a developer and like the whole community craps on it or something like that. But as you said, it's like if there are favorites and unfavorites, like put the community, just even votes out there, for a couple weeks, see what they love their data and have your hundreds of thousands of data points and stuff and figure out which ones are favored, which ones are not, and then and just share the data and be like, hey, we're going to weight them based off favorites and see how you guys like it. Like that, there are little things, like somebody in my Discord said like the smallest thing that they could do. I'm like, well, yeah, they could do that, but they don't. They were like, why couldn't Bungie give us 5 free universal transmog tokens a season that also expire at the end of the season so people don't hoard them, but you have to use them within a season? And I'm like, sure. Same thing as like map voting. I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do. Like once you get to that screen, you vote, or as you're queuing in, it's like got the couple of maps in there and stuff like that, and you get like 5-10 seconds to vote for it or something. But I'm like, I feel like it would, again, as you said, show the love away from disjunction to the maps that people actually really enjoy. And is if you're going in and you're getting disjunction 5 times, especially as you said now with the skill-based matchmaking, putting you in matches that are going to be sometimes rough, then you get into bad maps, it's bad. Or also you've got, players who don't want to play that map and they want to quit out, but they get penalized. Like it helps kind of cushion a couple of those things. And I don't know the dev time on it, but it does feel like it could be a community win on it as well.
Well, I imagine that it would keep lobbies together more, right? Because like it's presumably you could only vote for the next map if you've stayed in that same lobby, right? That's kind of how it's typically worked in other games. And so, I mean, all these developers are obsessed with like session time and like all these metrics of like keeping people playing as much as possible. And it's like, I feel like, I don't know, I imagine that would be helpful to like have people wanting to stick in the same lobby to keep going with this, versus like quitting out because they don't like the map. I don't know. I'm no developer, but that seems logical to me.
Trav, what's your thoughts on PvP with Patty?
I don't have any PvP opinions. I'm not a PvP main, as you
Oh,
guys
yeah,
know.
that's
that's
right.
right.
Never
That's
been,
right.
You're
never been a
retired.
PvP main.
He wrote off the
No
PvP main
opinions.
title. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
retired. I
No
forgot.
longer a Sun Lord.
PattyCakes. I retired as a PvP main recently in
It's a smart
protest
move.
of Destiny's PvP track record. I can't remember what the last straw was, but it was
Yeah.
no. Look, it's in a bad place, and in the past I've nitpicked with people over how I think skill-based matchmaking is good and how blah 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 ranked system blah. I've had fights with this, but I just don't have the energy for it anymore. It's bad, man. I don't think the PvP situation is healthy at all, and I think everybody's looking over at the unfaithful boyfriend meme, looking over his shoulder, at a marathon, the Bungie team there. I think that is kind of distracting for a lot of people. So, when I go for PvP experiences these days, I'm not coming to Destiny really. And I think when Marathon comes out, probably most Destiny players won't, leave my guess.
What do you
Maybe.
think would get you to be interested in to go to Destiny for that PvP fix? Like, what do you feel like is missing?
I mean, I think the thing that Destiny's always had problems for me with PvP because I like arena shooters. I like it where everybody enters the battlefield on equal footing, and it's about kind of controlling the map and getting better weapons in the actual game. So Destiny has always not been like the perfect multiplayer game for me for PvP. But the thing that has been great about it is that you can take your in-game accomplishments and bring them to a PvP sandbox where it adds endless replayability, and it's sort of the payoff for me anyway as a PvP main, a former PvP main, I guess. It was the ultimate payoff for playing this game, and it let you exist in that world for longer and do a very, very different type of objective with that. And I think that part of the failing there is that it stopped feeling like a viable way to spend your time in Destiny. Whether it's the lack of attention paid to the added game modes is something we've talked about, added maps is something we've talked about, care to the actual infrastructure of the game, whether it's matchmaking or whether it's dedicated servers or player base, I assume is probably part of the problem, etc. It just sort of feels like the team either took it for granted or decided that it wasn't a priority anymore, and it has increasingly been kind of feeling that way over the past couple of years, to the point where now I do my PvE activities and then I put the game down and I wait for the next PvE event. I don't even really bother going into PvP, but it just it feels like that they kind of just left it rotten on the vine a little bit for a while.
Yeah.
And I feel that way about a lot of areas of Destiny, whether it's like the Strike playlist or Gambit or, like a lot of these things kind of just feel like they got to a situation where they felt it was good enough, and now they add like one thing to it a year, if that, and that's really just Strikes. Gambit and Crucible are in a whole different realm of like not having any attention paid to them. So I just feel like it was, they did it to themselves for whatever reason. Maybe they just decided they didn't want the game to be that focused on it. But I mean, name something, man. Name a thing that they haven't been doing in PvP, and I'll tell you how they've been failing at that thing. You know what I mean? It's just,
well, I mean, that's kind of what's sad, is listening to all of you guys talk about like the state of not really having a desire to go back to it. And then they did this whole, like, was it season 18, 19? I can't remember, comp, the rework for comp, and then like trying to put the emblem in there. But the issue that I hear about with comp more frequently, and again, I don't know how this is for like the hardcore, I see people like lose 142 points, lose 202 points, lose 37 points, lose 150 points, and then they win a match and they gain 12. Like, the scoring in comp, I swear, could not be more convoluted. And I'm not even the one who spends much time in there at all, but anything I ever see on Twitter is like, I lost 3 games, I feel like I lost 500 points, I won 1 game, and I got 5 back. And I'm just like, that sounds horrible. So, I mean, that's, even if like comp with dedicated servers or something like that, like, when you hear, I know Marathon was cool for a trailer. I really like the vibe of it. Could be an interesting game, and it could pull PvP players over. But also, as somebody said in chat, is like, no way in hell I'm touching Marathon the way they treated D2 PvP. It's like, and we've said this before as well, it's like, your current game that exists has PvP, and as you have neglected it, what faith are you putting into your future PvP focused game as well, and hoping to have people give that one a shot? Yes, they're probably going to pull from a different audience as opposed to Destiny players. They're looking for
Mhm.
your Tarkovs and your Fortnites and what's going to be the new hot shooter, and maybe they're hoping this is it. But when everything that people have complained about in this game doesn't seem to get in there over the course of years and years now, it's really hard to sit on the sidelines and say, like, I mean, you say the sniper in comp, and I'm like, I can't remember the name of it, but I was like, it looks cool. But I'm like, for me to go into comp just for like a sniper that I'm probably not really going to get much use out of because my skill's lower on it. I'm like, that doesn't sound like a great time. Like, I could get you can play your 3 games and not care about the numbers and get a couple of rolls on it. But even then, just like when I hear the stuff about comp scoring, I've thought about like maybe playing a little bit, and then I see that stuff, I'm like, that sounds horrible.
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard that sentiment a lot about people worrying about Marathon because it's like Destiny PvP feels so neglected. Which, I mean, I've been hearing that a lot. I think there's definitely some sentiment there. I think you're right that like they're probably ultimately going for a pretty different audience with the game. Like
Yeah.
they're really trying to get like that, like Warzone and Fortnite and whatever, like all these different BR-ish
Also,
games. So
that's all the game is. So they ignoring PvP in that game isn't really a choice, right?
yeah,
They want
Yeah.
the game to
absolutely.
succeed. And I think that game's draw is that it's sort of posing as an extraction shooter, but what it actually is an ARG game that's going to keep audiences invested by like the meta that surrounds you going into PvP matches and discovering secrets and figuring out stuff, because like it's going to be like a live service game that feels like they're putting the ARG stuff that sometimes creeps its way into
Mhm.
Destiny. That's going to be like front and center in that game. That's my theory, and I think it's been it's been confirmed in some form, or at least I'm to the point where I'm ready to confirm it as my
Yeah.
prediction. And so I think Marathon will be fine. The team that's working on it knows PvP. They've they had
Mhm.
their A team over there, and they're going to have to invest in it. The question is it going to be enough for people just to get the ARG payoff? Because the thing that game is missing is the greater world where I feel like my accomplishments carry over, right? It's a separate app, separate game. And so I don't know if people are going to necessarily want to turn off Destiny and then go to this other game where they have a completely separate loadout and character and achievements and all that stuff. I don't know if it's going to have that staying power, but I do think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be a good game,
Yeah.
and I will probably play it as a substitute for Destiny PvP, which I often don't enjoy as much as I used to. So
Did you guys try the Cycle Frontier at all? Do you guys remember that
No, I
game?
heard about that, and it's shutting down here in a little while or
Yeah,
something.
I was
So
gonna
I've heard
bring that
about
up.
that.
Mm.
You
Yeah,
guys,
so you've
no one
got
else gave it a try. I actually tried it last summer and I liked it. I actually thought it was pretty fun. It had a lot of issues with cheaters, like big issues. And that type of game is so like if you think cheaters in Destiny are bad,
No.
like when you get like imagine you loot the last word and then you die from a cheater and you lose the gun, you can't have it anymore.
Yo.
Like that is a
Yeah.
big problem in that type of
Oh
game.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I guess I'm curious. You guys got me thinking. I'm curious, like what their mentality is with obviously the dedication to PvP and this extraction style shooter of Marathon. If that is their intent to have Destiny, if they think Destiny PvP players will gravitate towards that, or they're just going for a whole completely different audience that is, PvP tactical focus. I'm just curious what their overall goal of the audiences of both games
It's like I would guess a little of column A and column B, because I mean they're gonna
Yeah.
have their dedicated Bungie audience who's been playing Destiny for a decade and be like, "Hey, Bungie put out a new game." The PvP players are probably like, "Okay, I got to see what this 4 or 5 years of development that you didn't put into Destiny, what's it like?" So I was like, the initial try is going to be there, so they're really going to have to do something to like make the initial hooks well. But then also
Yeah.
you have your Tarkov players, your Lupos, your
Mhm.
big giant streamers, and those are the ones. Some of them got like marathon boxes. Like you didn't see a lot of Destiny content creators get marathon boxes, but a couple of the big ones that are not Destiny creators did, because they are going after a somewhat of a different audience. So I would imagine they are trying to, because partially what Bungie is doing right now is they're bleeding Destiny players. We've talked
Right.
about that before because new player experience and things like that, they have big numbers, but again, right now, how you could have like a weekly player login, but if your weekly player login is for like an hour, touch it, and then like bail for the week, and you just like, I don't care. That's a way to have an inflated
Mhm.
number due to their style, but it's like their hourly engagement may be very low. So then I
True.
wonder what that does to carry over for, their future game. But also it's like something like Tarkov's infinitely repeatable because it is PvP and
Yeah.
it is going to have that extraction part and, the threat and the
Yeah.
suspense and stuff. And if they can capture like the Bungie magic between Halo and Destiny, we've seen them do it. So if they can do
Mhm.
it again, and then as you said, security's huge. They said security team is like one of the first things they mentioned. Dedicated servers to hopefully stop have cheating. Like they can
Mhm.
try, and hopefully they'll stay maybe even with the cheaters as opposed to trying to stay ahead of it. But yeah, I do feel like it's definitely going to be. They have to do those things to have a shot, and then even then, trying to pull in new players is no easy thing because Sony is trying to do 12 live services. You got games like Starfield that people live in for hours and hours and hours. Like there are so many games now that pull people. It's not going to be the same experience Destiny had that for its first time out of the gate.
Yeah. We got to see. So shout out to all Teddy in the
Hey,
realm.
what's up, Teddy?
He said they're going for new players with Marathon. He said customer acquisition is a key metric of the entire service industry. Good point, Teddy. Yeah, that could very well be, the metric. And it's just interesting to see the shift, now that we know that the game exists, where we know where the teams have been. It is interesting. But yeah, I'm with Trav. Like I just wish, it's at this point, wish it would start. My man quit. He ain't PvP main no more. That lets you know the state of where things are, in terms of that. But it is interesting to see moving forward how they react to Destiny PvP in a post marathon world is what I want to see. Like what really happens on an update tip, if anything. I'm very curious about that. When it's out there in the wild and the love is going, right? Does the Destiny 2 PvP guy get any type of substantial updates? Very curious about that.
Yes, I think at least if they're doing it right, it should. Because you don't, I think I've said this on the show before, but you don't pull resources from one place to make another thing grow and let the old thing die. You add team members, you grow both games at the same time. And I don't even really think that Destiny and Marathon are going to compete very much at all. I think they'll compete in a very small niche of people who just really like Bungie as a company, but I don't know that they're going to be like cannibalizing the same player base. So Teddy's right that customer acquisition is going to be their main focus. That's every game's main focus, is getting more people to play their game, and not just the people who were playing their games already, to expand their umbrella and get more people playing. So I think Marathon will do that, but the dialogue that Marathon is somehow going to make Destiny PvP suffer, or that those two things can't succeed at the same time, I think is a false dilemma. And I also think that Destiny's PvP was on a downward slope way before Marathon was ever even a thought in Bungie's mind. So I think that people are drawing parallels that don't really exist. I think for whatever reason, the Bungie team de-emphasized PvP, stopped focusing on it,
That's the
went
question.
elsewhere with their stuff, and I don't think it really has anything to do with Marathon.
Yeah,
be
and I
honest.
think that's my curiosity, because it's evident that they definitely pulled away from Destiny PvP. But to your point, yeah, it makes sense to have both communities thrive, right? You want, rising tide, that kind of energy. So I would love to know the mindset, and maybe it is just a resources thing, and once they ramp up, the full scale of the plan is everything to be allocated towards content. But it is clear that as of right now, that ain't the case.
It's like
as of
even
right now, there's one favorite new child in the house. And that new child got a brand new room that we've been asking for. It got all the furniture that we've been begging for. And we like, yo, fam, he just got here.
Are you not an only child?
I am an only child.
But I was like,
Yeah.
you can actually like look when you guys do say new player acquisition, it makes sense. Like if they want to be successful, look at their website. Now it is like
I know,
Destiny and
I saw
Marathon.
that
So if like
today.
a Marathon player comes in, first thing they're gonna see is
Man.
Destiny sitting at the top and be like, "Hey, this is another Bungie game. Do they come over and
Say,
check this out
man.
too?" Like if
Yo,
they're
that new kid in the house, man, getting everything, bro.
I could tell that all of your not being an only child opinions are formed by movies, because that's not at all been my.
That's not how it goes.
I had 6 siblings. They never
It
cared
don't go
about me
like
to
that?
begin with, Cock. Let me tell you, it was already. I didn't lose any.
You gotta
any
complain
title.
when it don't feel like it's equal treatment. You gotta get the side eye of the house one time, Trav. Come on.
I don't know. I never expected equal treatment under the law in my particular situation. But I think it was, we were all prisoners. You know, it was we didn't begrudge another prisoner for escaping from the jail cell. We were like, good on them. You know, they made it.
They made it out.
One day I hope to break out too.
Oh man.
This is hilarious. Sorry for derailing. I had to have some fun. I don't get travel lots. I got to have some fun with them. That's what's up. So what's good on Eve?
Yeah, no, I was trying to just like pick Patty's brain because he's here for PvP, but we're kind of getting into the mix of, you know, it's like you have a map vote coming up and stuff like that, and it's like we just talked about map voting and they're going to do a map vote for trials, and even if trials had like, what if it was more than just the 3 that they pick? Like, what if it was like, hey, we want to do a season of trials and you guys can vote on the 4 maps we rotate through, and all of you guys, the trials people, voted, and you got to just have 4 maps for the whole season rotate through, and it was all the good ones. They already do these things now, and I feel like that's stuff that they could do. There's a little stuff I think they could do. And again, I don't know, as you said, where the resources are, how much is focused on Marathon, how much is focused on Final Shape, whatever comes after Final Shape, Season 23, 4, 5, 6, 7, like, all the resources seem to be going somewhere right now because Bungie's not paying people to sit on their butt. But it does seem that PvP is a far focus, and Gambit is drowning in the corner of the pool. Like,
oh, yeah, we don't even talk
poor
about
Gambit players.
Poor
oh
Gambit.
man,
Oh,
all 7 of you. I know it's tough, but
Gambit is not drowning in a pool. By the way, Gambit is floating in the pool, bloated, and it's
as
starting
the
to
body
smell.
decomposes. Yeah,
That's what's happening over there.
Well, it's like there's 2 maps that, like, how do we not have those 2 maps back? Just the
know.
other 2, like, put them through the engine work. It's like, come on, they're dying here.
And it's considered a ritual playlist.
And
like
that's the thing that I kind of wanted to get to is we got some of the TWAB showing about new weapons coming for the ritual playlist. And they talk about what's coming. So you got Crucible, you're going to have a Stasis submachine gun. And I'm like, all right, is it going to be better than the Immortal? Is it going to be better than Blood Feud? Please be better than Blood Feud. It's probably not going to be as good as Mortal. Blood Feud sucks, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We got a solar sniper rifle from Strikes. I don't know how often you guys use snipers in PvE, but that's mostly 0% of the time for me.
Not often.
The Void machine gun from Gambit is the only one that actually makes sense because it's a non-raid, non-sunset season Void machine gun. And if they put decent perks on it, that actually gives you a reason to play Gambit, even if we all hate our lives in there. Nightfall, we got Warden's Law, which is going to be a whole new twin shot burst archetype thing. They messed up on the solar precision bow. It was going to be the Hollis 4, which is a blue bow right now. And they were going to reissue that sucker. They have a new name for it, so I'm sure it's going to be very similar to the Hollis 4, but
I'll be honest,
solar and a new name.
I did not know there were blue bows in the game.
There is one. I literally went to the next page and I was like, oh, there's one.
Wow. There's one blue bow. That's impressive.
So Iron Banner, we've got Guiding Sight. It was a kinetic scout rifle. We had it previously a long time ago in Iron Banner. It is now going to be a strand scout rifle. We're getting a reissue there. Point of the Stag.
180? It's a 180 or 150?
150, I think. I looked up. It's a high impact.
High impact, okay.
And then Point of the Stag, which was a pursuit weapon, kind of like Randy's. They're reissuing that one for Iron Banner. Now, the only way they're going to get me to play a lot of Iron Banner is if they put Volt Shot on that bow. Now, if they put Volt Shot on that bow, I'm going to play me a lot of Iron Banner because I want Volt Shot on a bow, but they have not done that yet, and I'm sure they're worried about doing it. But if they do that, I'll play on Banner. If they don't, I probably won't. Trials, Igneous Hammer. A lot of people love it, but it is a reissue coming back, and we've got a Strand. It's going to be an Amalon. Don't know the archetype yet. Grenade launcher, or heavy grenade launcher there. So it's like when I go through and I list, like, okay, so you've got the bow that could be a reissue. Warden's Law, they are reworking how the gun actually works. Guiding Sight reissue, Point of the Stag reissue, Igneous Hammer, another reissue coming back for... That's like half of them are, again, and this is, and I'm not trying, this is where I am wondering, like, what are they working on? and I don't mean this to be mean. No, I'm like, that's why
Final shape.
that's what I'm hoping. And this is why I was like, I have to wonder. I was like, is it post final shape, post that like year 11? Like, I'm hoping where when I see stuff like this, when I go through and I see half of it looks like reissues, and I don't mean to be mad, it works. It's a way for them to like cycle weapons through the loot pool and stuff like that, but have less dev time because they've created 500 unique weapons or however many there are in the game. It's like, I know it's not easy, but this is a
They're
lot
working from home, Ebontis. That's what they're working on. They're working on, naps. I don't know.
Oh,
What do you do to
man.
work from home?
Okay,
Oh,
I'm not
man.
trying to be that mean, but no, this is why I'm wondering is like they've hired a bunch of people. I know Marathon's got a chunk. There's possibly Matter as well. Destiny is still doing its thing. It's like, and I know Final Shape, they can't screw up Final Shape. Like I know we've said it
Can't
before.
they?
I mean, they shouldn't. They shouldn't.
As we learned from the AI article this week, we now know that the Final Shape has a subtitle.
Yeah.
Yes.
As a subtitle, the AI wrote that the DLC was called "The Final Shape: A Square with No Corners."
I'm done.
I did not know that. That is amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
But I was like, so that's what I'm hoping is that they're getting, and I know Travis, you said this is going to be a rough year, and it keeps proving the point. You have been, you just keep using the like rough year stamp. Like you made the stamp on your Nightfall review, and you just keep going down the line with it.
Before the review, I predicted this when we saw the
you
first
did.
trailer. I was like, this is going to be a rough year. You guys buckle up.
Yep.
But I think the game will survive, and I do think I have to believe this as a Destiny stand for so long. I do think Final Shape will be great. I don't know what they've got planned for after that. I don't know if the year after or the seasonal model, which they have alluded to the fact that they're going to be changing the seasonal model so many times. Not just alluded to it, they've explicitly said that they plan on it. Yeah. I have no idea what any of that down the road. And I also have concerns that Destiny will be able to continue to be viable after the Final Shape, given all the turbulence and people clearly having kind of weariness with the franchise. But I still think Final Shape is going to be good.
What are you guys expecting for the showcase? To me, like personally, like
stealing my question to you, Patty, but that's what I was going to ask you because we talked before the show a little bit in DMs, and I was like, right now I know PvP is rough, and especially for you that focus on it. But part of it was like, what does the showcase need to sell you as somebody in PvP? Is it year 10 or is it year 11 and 12?
Yeah,
like,
no,
what does it need to sell you on?
As a like, I have to answer it as a content creator because obviously, like, that's sort of my job, and the reason that, like, you know, if I wasn't doing it as a job, I probably would be taking a break from Destiny right now because there's just not that much to do. But it's like trying to look forward is like, does it make sense to keep a channel that's pretty dedicated to one game on this? Well, then, like, there has to be like a multi-year vision of something to get excited about. Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense. So to me, I'm really like, I'm not really looking at it for the new season right now or Final Shape so much as like, I hope that there's like even just teasing of like, what's the next 2-3 years? Is it worth even continuing to have a Destiny focused channel, or is it more like, okay, well, this has been fun, but it's time to like start planning something different? So that's kind of like what's going through my head.
So during the roundtable we had last month with the Bungie team, they deflected my questions about stuff like, hey, what's up with PvP's future and what's up with Game's future? They deflected them to the August showcase. So my thinking is, and I think they have to do it at this point because they're getting dangerously close to the time where they need to start like advertising what happens after the Final Shape. It's like getting close to that time. I think that it'll not only be a deep dive into what's going on with Final Shape and give us more info there, but I think they're going to talk extensively about the future of Destiny and what their vision is. I think it's going to be an unveiling, and people and certainly content creators can decide if they're on board with that vision. I think we've already had some announcements that suggest that there's going to be some of the community that doesn't come along for the ride and is out at the 10-year mark as promised. Hey, I did my time. But I think that they're going to have something, and I predict that it'll get Destiny hardcore people excited. Like, because, you know, it's easy to come up with promises. They don't have to deliver on those yet.
The marketing team
say
is
something that
unrivaled.
sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, the trailer team, marketing team, they deserve all the money because they have sold us all on so much stuff.
Yeah, do you remember what was the expansion like that they revealed? But they had like it was within the last few years they like announced the next few expansions after. Remember, I forget which one it was. The showcase
Well, it was
for, but it was
announcing Beyond Light, Witch Queen, and
was it
Final
Beyond
Shape
Light?
at the time.
Okay,
Because it was
yeah,
the
and it
showcase
was
for those three. And then the
It
next
was,
year we got
I believe
Witch...
it was the showcase for Beyond Light, and then they announced 2 years on top
next-
of that.
yeah.
And then they added another year later on.
I feel like that's what we need. Is like
I think
this is
that'll
not
happen.
only this is like the next 3 years vision of like what we're like building towards.
Yeah. And that's why my big question keeps coming down to who are we going to fight in the fight? Like, who are we going to fight after all this? Are we ever going to go outside of our solar system, or is Destiny going to continue to live around Venus and maybe another moon? And are they going to bring back planets or something? Or are they ever going to go... Do you think they ever do anything like Alpha Centauri, like an actual different galaxy, or does Destiny just live here? You're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, that's the question. The light and dice, like Travis said, we've grown up with this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is all we've known, darkness and the light and the purity and all this stuff. And now they flipped it on its head, you know, narratively, so to speak. You know, we have a new entity, you know, as far as the veil and trying to explain what's going on now and containment and all sorts of stuff. But, you know, they're trying to piece this thing together to get us to the finish line of a moment. And to me, it seems like they're trying to culminate in this big moment. And obviously, we know the rumors of potential, you know, another darkness subclass. And I just feel like we're going into this gray area where what we thought, well, they've kind of alluded it with Witch Queen, right? You know, what we've been thought to believe is one thing is actually something else, right?
Yeah.
Now, what does that conclusion come to? How then does the game move forward after these new revelations and this new ideology? That's the key. And is the game going to be fun? Because it's always been, you know, the darkness, y'all. You know what I'm saying? So what's the new thing that we push towards as Guardians and stuff like that? That to me, when you rewrite, it's let's say it's a retcon, but they're rewriting a lot of their own history into a new direction. And when you do that, it has to still be compelling. So now that we've been chasing the carrot, now we get there. What's the new carrot to chase, so to speak, to keep us in there? And that's a big responsibility. I will not lie. Like, that is a curiosity I have. That does Destiny's narrative draw still maintain if it is flipped this way, right? So these are questions they have to answer with their team.
So here's a question. There's the rumor of the subclass icon leak. Who knows if that's true?
Right.
But everybody does have a suspicion. At some point, we're getting a 6th subclass. Say, as Patty says, we get the 1, 2, 3. Like, currently, we got Final Shape coming, and we get, like, here's another trilogy coming. Whenever we theoretically get that next subclass, we will be up to 6.
Yes, that's a lot.
That's a lot. We also have 12,000 weapons in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys think at any point they will do a sunsetting pass on your loot? If this thing is going to be Destiny 2, we tried sunsetting for a hot second. Okay, people got pissed, but it should have stayed in there. We just didn't implement it well. Okay, so we're going to leave that alone for a while and come back to it. Do you think they do any type of sunsetting pass? Do you think we stop at like 6 subclasses? Like, is it weapon archetypes? Like you just said, like it needs to be fun. And I'm sitting there thinking in my head, what over the course of the next 3 years keeps this 6 subclass no longer versus the Light and Dark saga? The Vex don't have a face to fight if they're like the last thing, because there's that one of the narrative guys was basically saying that if you think about the Vex, like standing back and watching 2 Goliaths go at it, and then when they're done fighting, then they get to figure out what they're going to do as they time travel and crazy stuff. The Vex don't really have a face to fight. So I'm kind of curious. I want to kind of go around like, Cog, do you think sunsetting anytime in the next, say, 2 years?
I'm gonna surprise you.
You're gonna say yes.
It has to happen. It has to happen. It has to happen. You will breathe a sigh of relief. Come full circle with you. But I will also always die on my sword with the caveat that I would like it to happen with a new iteration of the game. So the
Yeah, I mean,
D3 is, season of the, we're together now. Season of all,
season of the Avengers.
yeah, season of the Avengers, saying on your left or whatever what we doing, right? Like, bro, if I would like, if you're gonna, it's the right call. There's too many weapons, there's too many archetypes, there's too many I get it. Yeah, power creep, I get it. All that's legit. All I would say is, hey, you got this new child in the house that got dedicated servers and all this stuff, right? We've got an engine that is so old and maybe not stable that has been going on for so long, and we need to cut off that old generation. Those what is it? What consoles are still running
PS4,
this thing?
Xbox One,
PS4,
PS4 Pro,
yeah,
Xbox One X.
yeah, like all these iterations. It's just like, okay, snap it, let the witness,
They know snap the vault, just gone.
yeah, let the witness evaporate everything. We live in the new world with Cade, the new put the tower where Cade's at. I'm just joking, but you know what I'm saying. Like, that's when I'll justify, yeah, okay, you're giving me a new game. You're giving me better quality of life. You ended the saga in this unique way. Boom, let's go on to the new. Then I'm comfortable with it. That's all. I just would love that. Maybe I'm wishful thinking. Maybe it's that ain't part of the plan and the budget, and you bugging. But that's what I would like, and hopefully it's a post-final shape world, and then I would be able to accept that.
Trav, what about you? Where you at on think they need some? I mean, I probably know your answer there, but what do you think? I guess is a better question maybe for you. What do you think allows them to keep Destiny 2, but Destiny 2 fresh for like the next saga, 3 years more, something like that? What do you think it needs? What do you think can be done to keep it going?
Yeah, I think it needs something completely different, frankly. I mean, I don't know what the future's going to look like, and I think Bungie has sort of done enough to allude to us that the future is not going to look like the past, which is comforting, because if their answer was, we're going to keep going with the same game that you guys have been playing, I think a lot of people would be like, all right, I'm good, actually. I'm out.
I think I'm good. I'm good.
I'm good, actually. But I don't think that's going to happen. And I think Bungie is a smart enough company to know the writings on the wall there. I don't claim to know what it's going to look like, but I know this. I know that they're not going to get rid of any of the groups, factions we're currently fighting, because it's too easy to keep them in the game, and they only add stuff, right? They don't take away. You're not going to defeat the Hive finally, and they're just going to be gone, right? They're just going to exist in some other form. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's okay to keep this stuff, but they definitely need a new mob. I think we're going to get that with Final Shape. I think we're going to get a new faction finally. And then I think they're going to try some new stuff. I think we will leave the solar system, or maybe they'll have a new format where our solar system is less relevant, or we have a way to travel, something like Remnant, where you can go through portals and go to different realms. But I think they're going to have to innovate in some way, and I think this will include what their pillars look like, right? I don't know if we're going to have the same pillars in Destiny anymore, or if we do, they're hopefully going to exist in a different way. But yeah, I expect them to try a whole bunch of new stuff, and if I'm wrong, I will be disappointed. I might also be disappointed even if they do try new stuff, if I happen to not like it. But that's every player is going to be in that position of trying to decide what they're going to do. But anything less, if they talk about the future, which I expect them to in August, anything less than a unveiling of like what the future for Destiny means and how it's going to be different, I think will be met with skepticism by their players. And I would be shocked if Bungie was not aware of that, right? So I think they know what the stakes are here.
Yeah.
Patty, what about you?
So when I think about it, there's 4 times that come to mind that were my favorite 4 times in Destiny history over the last decade, right? Destiny 1 launch, Destiny 2 launch, the Taken King when that first came out, and then when Forsaken came out. And the thing that all 4 of those have in common is they all felt so new and fresh. There was just like new things to explore. There was like, particularly with Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 launch, because it was like a complete clean state. There's nothing to it's like completely unexplored. I remember in Destiny 1 reading Reddit like into the like 2 a.m. just trying to like look for little secrets. People talk about these different blue auto rifles they found that were really good, and you know, like the loot cave. There's just like this sense of exploration and like unknowingness of like what's out there. And I feel like those 4 times to me really marked like the pinnacle of when that's happened. And I've been thinking about like what could get me excited about this game again, because I've been pretty unexcited for a while now.
You're not alone.
I mean, it sucks when a season starts and you know exactly what's going to happen in that season. Like you don't know the details, you don't know the color, but you know exactly what the drawing is going to look like.
I remember when
that's not a good feeling.
Yeah, Glad made that little video reaction to like seeing the same square like thing with the seasonal. And I had the same
the grid that we were filling
yeah,
out, the
just
vendor, and everybody's like,
grid.
Yeah,
it's like, come on. So I feel like we need the complete opposite of the grid. Like whatever, I don't know what that is exactly. I mean, my preference would be like a Destiny 3 complete wipe the slate, new guns, new everything. Like that would get me the most excited. But I don't know if that's realistic. But I
think it's on the table.
I would hope so. I mean, I just feel like they need just complete wipe everything new, fresh, clean start, and learn from Destiny 2, right? Don't like I think they made Destiny 2 launch like with vanilla had a lot of issues, and I think hopefully they learned like what was good about Destiny in the last 10 years and make like the best new version of that. But I mean, there was something really special about the first couple weeks of Destiny 2. I remember I wasn't even that excited about Destiny 2 at first. I was kind of like in a lull period. This is before I even started doing content, and I was playing other games. And then I remember like seeing some of like the leaked new exotics coming out, and it's like that got me really excited. And then, you know, from that point forward, I was like, you know, pre-ordered the Xbox version that I played on PC, and it was just like, yeah, that was really fun. And I just feel like they somehow need to recapture that. I don't know exactly what that looks like. My preference would be a D3 launch, but I mean, you know, even maybe like there's like they go to some new solar system, like you said, and we can't take any of our weapons or whatever.
Your weapons can't go through the portal.
Where they are. You know, new enemies, new areas to explore.
Yeah, however they put a reason on it. I'm with you there. That's funny, but yeah, I was like, no, I think that's the point. It's like we watched them make a Destiny 2 and make a lot of mistakes of what they thought they wanted. Now we've had 7 years of like ironing things out. So if they ever do a Destiny 3, a soft reboot, or whatever it may be, a next gen only, whatever like that template ends up being, don't forget about the last 7 years of the game. Like, you know, the way currency's working, we'll get there in a second. Like the way all these other little things like random rolls and perks and subclasses and some stuff could carry forward, but again, like the vault and the weapons and things, and it's like that's a big undertaking to ask for them to say. It's like, how many weapons do you need to launch a soft reboot? Do you need 200? How many exotics? What, like, again, all that stuff kind of comes into play. But it's like I'm with you. Some kind of, not maybe a full clean slate, but definitely a lot of freshening up and then some sunsetting, like on both ends of it. Like a lot of new, get rid of a decent amount of old. The pillars, as Travis said, like maybe Gambit just like, if they don't want to put any effort into it, and they've at least talked about Crucible. It may be minimal, it may be small, but they've at least they don't even like, Gambit wasn't even mentioned in the state of the game. Like I feel like that is truly just decomposing as it floats down the river. And if it's not, then they're really not making me think otherwise. So then if it's like you've got the PvE and then you've got the PvP in Destiny, it's like if they lean into some directory rework after Final Shape that goes that way, and there is a little bit more PvP focus, give you a little life there, and then the PvP takes a different direction, maybe that's something they do. It's like Gambit in and of itself wasn't bad, just never got to love it.
Yeah, I remember the debut. I debuted playing Gambit. Travis appreciate this. It was Sean Finnegan and Destiny Gary in Activision E3 Taken King booth.
Yeah, I think I was there too.
Oh,
yeah,
crazy how close we were in it. Yeah, and I was in a session with Sean and Destin, and it was mind blowing for the time. People were like, "What PvP, PvE mode?" And it was a thing. And to see, and then you remember one of the I think when we met 9 Hydras, I think, and it was at a GCX.
Yeah, that was GCX when it was.
Right, they had the competition, and no, actually, no, wait, it was before
that was on the other side.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it was a thing. It was like people were hoping to get the chance to do like this You know,
Yeah, if you won a Crucible match, you came back, then you got to
yes.
like risk your Crucible medal
I remember.
for a Gambit
Yeah, that was
medallion.
fun. I did that too. That
Yeah,
was
Night
fun.
Yeah, you
Riders
remember
was
that, yeah,
there.
Patty, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It was a thing. And let's see, shout out to Chop. Yeah, salute to Finnegan.
Yep.
So it's like, yeah, man, it was
And then
such a
Travis's horrible story about
I
Chop.
know. Travis, keep that off the record.
Hey,
no.
Finnegan is my boy, but
All right.
you know,
Oh, man, that's my
yeah,
guy.
I
He's the
just,
first.
I have a relationship with him, so
No
I just,
doubt. First guy
I
that
work with
look,
the guy.
I was little, what is it, under 500 subs, ILP, and the biggest thing at that time for me was he shouted us out on Fire Team chat. And he was just like, oh, yeah, I was playing it. It was a guy. Oh, by the way, shout out to Iron Lord's podcast. I was like, people come in, yo, bro, they said Iron Lord's podcast on IGN. We were like, lost it. Like, he made a moment. So he always going to have a special place for me because of that Gambit moment. But because they were explaining it on Fire Team at the time. This is, before Trav got on. And yeah, it still has the potential. I guess what I was trying to say in all of this is that, look, 6 years, y'all. Right? 2017 when this game came out. 6 years. I strongly believe with a new coat of paint, and at least even from the graphical standpoint, to today's standard, Destiny updated correctly, because even these cinemas, bro, like looking kind of tired now when you see Zavala face and you see it be looking a little like you see
Look, Cog, I hear you, but if you were to say, Travis, what are the top 50 problems with Destiny? Graphics wouldn't even make that list.
No,
you know,
it wouldn't even be
sure,
close. So,
sure.
like, why would that be the thing that they would focus on? It's like, what
Just-
about their content pipeline?
Of course.
Like,
I'm just talking about
Sure.
on top of everything else. Like it would hurt to have that nice coat. of paint
I feel
big
like
injection.
switching to a new engine is a ton of work. It requires years of preparation, especially if it's a custom engine like Bungie tends to build. And some people have suggested moving to Unreal. That's also a ton of work.
Oh, that's
And then
definitely
even if you do it after you're done with all that, then you have to make the content. And I'm just like, if they can use this engine or a version of it, a souped up version of it, that engines can be improved. They could improve upon this engine and then build more content for it. I would be more excited about them solving the first 780 problems before they got to the look of Zavala's face.
No, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm just talking about you're right from the overall health of the game. Yes.
Mhm.
What I'm saying is when they're forced to stay with that engine, you yes, it's scalable, but at some point you affect now game design, right? You're still restricted to the lowest common denominator that you are always going to have to service. And there are some amazing ideas that they can't facilitate because they looking at you, PS4 and Xbox One.
I'm fully on board with abandoning those platforms. I think that should have been done a long time ago, personally.
Right, because remember in D2, at some point in the cycle, we got rid of 360.
Mhm.
They gave them the boot. At least if they're not gonna give us D3, can we kindly escort the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One off the premises? We do not want to see your services. I know this is foul. Bro, we got to do something to push game design so they could do something creative maybe that's been restrictive because of these platforms.
When they say perks on weapons and stuff are limited based on like technical limitations, that's the type of stuff where I'm like, when you play something like Outriders or Remnant, you got like 20 different things going on and you're like, this is kind of crazy and bananas, but fun. But then you think about like, hey, I can't have like an origin trait on here or an armor set bonus because one too many things is happening. And I'm like, that's where I see the technical issues. It's like, if you play Destiny 2 on HDR with a 4K monitor at like 120 frames per second, it looks damn good when I'm looking at it. So it's like, it can look good. And it's like, is it going to ever have ray tracing? Please don't try and go down that road. It's probably not worth it. In Destiny, it probably would look good, but it's probably kill everything. But, yeah, as Travis said, there are 700 other things in front of it by far for the looks, but yeah, there are many things that I would say I would love to see before that as well.
Mhm. I have a question for you guys. So I haven't played Remnant 2.
Wait, what? You're the guest. Hold on. We did not approve.
I love that.
I'm turning this around on you guys.
I love it. Let's
Flipping
go.
the tables. So I haven't played Remnant 2 yet. I have it installed, and I'm hoping to
too.
actually try it later tonight. But one of the things that seems interesting to me is I understand you can like combine classes, or I was thinking kind of in Destiny subclasses. Do you think that would work in Destiny? I don't know what the lore implications of this, but like
Well, I mean,
in the gameplay, like the
Osiris guy up there, he has all three, right? No, is that accurate? Like, does Osiris have access to multiple classes?
they never really. We gotta defer to Bife and Mylan because
Multiple classes? Or are you
like
talking about
because like every
Like
time they
arc and solar at the same
yeah,
time, or maybe
when
you
I
had
when
a
I
light and a dark at the. Maybe that would be a thing if they introduced them, and you could have a light and a dark at the same time, so you could have solar hammers, but also have like a strained grenade. Like if you could mix and match at that level, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking like, so I'm trying to visualize like, okay, let's say that we have to keep Destiny 2, but they like wipe out the weapons and we move to some new planets or something. Like, how do you keep the subclass part of it fresh?
I
And
was wondering
thinking
the same
maybe,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, maybe you could like take the subclasses we have and like kind of combine, like you could pick two of them or something and mix and match, or
I would
just
love
something to make
that.
it interesting.
Another
right?
Remnant reference. This is
Yeah.
crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that would be I mean, if you were, maybe it's the whole point of like, hey, after the final shape, and then if we get the subclass, you could go like, here's a little spitballing tinfoil hat theory. Final shape happens or whatever, and then we are the balance of light and dark because we have embraced the subclasses fully on each side, 3 and 3. So then the idea of like post final shape to bring it in for start of the new saga, you're going to be able to use both. Now, granted, you probably have to pick like one super, like the prime element for Remnant, but if you get the perks and traits and maybe you get like a couple different. I mean, I'm not saying that's an easy thing to build in Destiny. That is probably horrible to program, but a little lore foil 10 hat, like whatever. I can't even talk, but like spin foil theory, that would be an interesting way to have the final shape be Guardians, have the balance of both the light and the dark subclasses, and then some way to be balanced, you have to use them both. That'd be kind of fun. I have no idea, obviously, but I was like, I like where your head, because I was wondering the same thing about fresh stuff. I'm like, sunsetting of some kind, we got to have a compelling story, which I still don't know what that's going to be, but like, we just got a Void 3.0, Arc 3.0, Solar 3.0. Even if we get this like rumored 6th one, who knows if that's real, guys? That's not a for sure thing at all. But if that happens, like, you're telling me for the next 3 years we're gonna have the same 3 just like living, like they're gonna do something to refresh them. So I like the idea at least.
Yeah. Well, especially with all this investment they put into Strand and like Stasis and like whatever this new one is, if it exists. Like, you figure that that's a lot of investment. They don't want to just like throw that out right away, right? So he's got to do something to keep it interesting, though.
And if they don't, you could just play a different video game. That's the crazy part. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
Games are so cool. This is just one game. It's like, do we really care? It's just. I'm just kidding, guys.
You messy.
I think it's a great idea, by the way, mix and matching classes, because something that I think is tough in Destiny right now is that you kind of feel like everyone else in your group, right? There's not a whole lot of customization or making it your own or having identity as a guardian. Because I remember Destiny 1 had a lot of identity. Like I would tell people I'm a defender titan, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, this guy's bubble boy," and I'm like, "Yep, that's how I do it. That's how I roll. I'm a defender titan." This one, I'm like whatever super you need for whatever encounter, because the meta is just so.
If you're a warlock, you live in well.
Draining. Yeah, it's just like whatever, man. I give up. Just make me do whatever you want.
Do what it is that's most efficient.
Yeah. So there you go.
I like the idea of that. By the way, Bungie, if you take it, we just want a little credit, a little asterisk there.
The asterisk. No, I like it too.
PattyCakes via the Last Word podcast.
I love what PattyCakes is saying. I do have a little pessimistic side to it because it's part of me thinking about it, and it's like all this work they've done for all these different subclasses.
Oh, the balance would be hell.
Oh my god! And I'm just thinking about D2 vanilla D2 launch when. Remember when we went from D1 to all the nodes and pick and choose and do this, and you want that with your Nova Bomb or that with the thing. And I think about D2 where it's like triangles and this amalgamum thing of mix, and like you actually had less options. So it's like, yeah, okay, it's cool. We're gonna put Stasis and Strand together, but you're gonna get like limited. I'm just worried about how the choice
how the build
will be, right? Yeah. As cool as it visually will look if them combined. How they would implement that, and that's pretty much my own concern. But I think the idea of it is fire. Like that. Because the last one I was going to say, just the idea when I hear the word the final shape, I think of something morphing into something. So I think thematically, what Patty is saying makes a lot of sense. Like, maybe I'm giving Bungie too much credit here, but it just Final Shape seems to me like, okay, we're gonna become something else, and it makes sense because at some point we got a lot of subclasses, bro. We got a lot of options and choice right now.
What I was gonna say is like the other way they take it is if it's not two, because I could see, as you're saying, the character screen, you got one on each side. Like Revenant handles it well, but you got aspects and fragments and which ones are you picking from and the balance and the cost and all that stuff. They do, like with Final Shape and definitely future years, if it's not something like Patty says, which, God, I would love that idea so much, the balance of light and dark within your Guardian. I mean, it writes itself, so I mean, it's there. But if not, I think the other, like, new supers, new aspects, new fragments, new grenades, like new melees, like that's the other way they can go with it, is to build out more customization, because it really, and then give us, buff up the ones that need them, obviously, but give us more options. So as you said, it's not like I have the one way that I play, like the Warlock well, it's like, I'm sorry, Raiders, you live there, that's what you do. Now you've got your Hive ship helmet, your Divinity. You told me your build where you're just like making ammo, your Divinity, you're sitting in a well. It's like, I'm just going to sit back and do my thing. But it's like, Titans need more non-roaming supers, for the love of God. Please give me some other supers that are, I mean, the Strand ones.
More melee roaming for Titan, please. I need. I don't feel like I get to run around and punch things enough. So if there's any way to give me more of that, I would appreciate it. Preferably in a different color. Have you tried chartreuse? Could I have a chartreuse fist? Is that possible at all?
Listen, Cade.
Anyone?
I like
anyone.
that.
Yeah. So it's like there's a couple ways. I love Patty's idea because lore base wise, like the balance, the Final Shape coming into those, I don't think you could write it better, but it's the writers are probably like, this sounds great, and the game programmers are like, this sounds horrible.
How hard could it be? You hold down one button and it changes all of your other buttons. That's like a thing, right? Actually, it's kind of in Remnant. Speaking of Remnant, like you hold down LB and then it changes what the right trigger and RB button do.
Oh, I play on mouse and keyboard, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, you could have a button that just toggles between your light and dark.
Toggles between
like I feel
dark,
like you could figure that out
without going to your menu.
And even you could have the same setup now where you have a certain number of aspects and fragments, and you have two, maybe pick like a primary, like do you want a primary darkness or a primary light, right? So you have that determines your super, and then it's like, or maybe you have both supers, and you can toggle between them based on if you're on the light or dark mode, right?
Yeah,
should be kind of cool actually. Like
I feel like something that has to happen if Destiny is going to continue to be a game longer than 10 years. They really only have two options. One, they have to reset the game, because that's the only way to let it evolve while keeping it interesting, is they just have to remove everything. The other option is that they can make it like an actual MMORPG, like make it chunkier and more customizable, because
build crafting to a different level.
Build crafting to a much higher degree, because I think there's two types of games that thrive. There's World of Warcraft, where it's so chunky and so much of an RPG that you can survive for 20, 30 years or whatever. And then the other one is games that just continually refresh because they port you over to a new game and give you a new toolbox and tool sets, a set of stuff to use. And I feel like Destiny is in a very weird position where they've now been around they're about to be around for over a decade, with very minimal changes to their formula, and I don't know how sustainable that is without them doing something to seriously shake up how the game works. So that's what I hope.
Well, other ways they're shaking up how the game works, they're changing up currency capacities.
Woo!
Yeah. Look at that segue.
Look at that. Professional podcasting,
So Ascendant Shards, Ascendant Alloys are both going to go from 10 to 30. Enhancement Prisms are going to go from 50 to 100 in your inventory, but anything above that capacity is no longer going to go to the Postmaster. So you had people that were happy and then sad within 2 sentences of each other. Now they also state 99% of the player base is going to have no problem with this change and find it as a benefit. 1% of the player base, of which I have found 1% of the player base on Twitter, my YouTube comments, and a few other places, are not happy that the capacity went down. I think if they were going to make everybody happy, you could probably do the prisms, or the prisms, you could probably leave it 100. 100 prisms, sure, it's fine. Like, you need 200, calm down. But if they did 40 on the cores, or 40 on the shards and 40 on the alloys, they could have made a lot more people happy. Because, like, 30 is an arbitrary-ish number. 30, 40, not much of a difference. Like, you're not going to infuse... Yeah, you're not going to infuse, like, I'm not going to take 10 pieces of exotic armor to level 10 at one moment. So why 30 versus 40? And then it's like, as for the prisms, 100 is a lot to work with. So I think you'd probably be fine there. But yeah, 30 is better than 10. I was like, for most everybody, if you really care, go farm them up now. So your postmaster always looks all shiny for the future and you can leave them there because they will stay. They were emphatic about that. Like, if you have anything in the postmaster, it's still going to be there. But any future stuff that drops won't go there. And I just wanted to ask, when they said they were going to be talking about like masterworking and currencies, did you expect any more or any less than what we got?
I didn't expect anything more. What I would love is if we could re-roll our masterworks like the technology we had in year 1. But I've been wanting that like literally ever since Forsaken or whenever they changed that.
Glass needles or something.
Well, I was thinking even just remember in year 1 of Destiny 2, you'd masterwork something and you could keep re-rolling it infinitely until you got the one that you wanted. And I'm just like, why is that not a thing? That would cut down so much ridiculous RNG.
Teddy is the 1%.
Yeah.
You're the 1% of the 1% because you're like a Triumph collector. You have them all.
Here's the thing. I think it's okay if the 1% are upset. Call me crazy. But you know, the 1% just aren't paying their fair share. And I feel like, you know, they're hoarding all of the wealth and it's time to redistribute.
I don't think this is a
What do you
Destiny
guys think?
podcast anymore.
No, wait, I'm sorry. What 1% were we talking about?
I can't.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Well played. Well played.
And on that, I fold. No, I'm just kidding. Shout out real quick to the $10 super chat. I am K Rose. You can still hold shards in your vault by masterworking exotic armor. The system can be circuit. Exactly. Like if you really want to be one of those golden vault people, like EK and anybody else who did, you can still hold them in your exotics. Like yeah, it's 3-1, but that's again, if you get up to 30, go put them in an exotic in your vault. And that's how you can do it. So there are ways to go far beyond even their expected cap. But you know, I loved when the stats were like 90, not 90 or 95. It was 99% of the player base is getting a benefit from this. I was like, all right, I kind of see your point.
What is the benefit?
The benefit is your capacity in your inventory goes from 10 to 30. So it's a higher capacity.
Great.
Yeah. I was like, it sounds good to me. Teddy?
What's the drawback? Why are the 1% mad this time?
So the 1% are mad because the total capacity went from 40 down to 30 because each character could have 10 in their postmaster on each character, and then you'd have 10 in your actual inventory consumable slot. So it's technically
now you carry 30 on your inventory, total none in your
postmaster.
vault.
Correct.
Postmaster, correct.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 1%. Like get wrecked, scrub. Like,
Get wrecked, bro.
This system sounds way better, and I know Teddy's messing around. Teddy doesn't care about materials. The only material he cares about is Triumph and slamming mad vagina. That's
Okay.
Teddy's life.
Whoa,
That's how he
whoa.
rolls.
Just went somewhere else.
What?
This is definitely taking a departure from a video games podcast, good sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just the insight slipped out into Teddy's life. Sorry, guys. He's such a playboy. It's
Teddy the playboy, huh?
just drips off of him, you know. Once he
What's
starts
up, Kevin?
talking
How you
about
doing?
different inputs and different.
Oh my god! Stop!
chords,
Stop!
dude. No, I'm talking about
No,
electronic
stop.
wiring.
I understand it.
Yeah,
Stop with the double
electronic
entendre,
wiring.
multi-layered. Oh.
Messy.
Sorry, guys.
All right.
Messy.
On a different note from the articles we got this week, Patty, are you excited about the Warden's Law?
From my recollection is that's the worst hand cannon in the game back in the day. I am not.
All right, let me
know,
break it. Let me break it down. Did you read
Yeah.
the TWAB or no?
I haven't. Well, I glanced over it. Yeah.
Okay, so they said, so like, how can we make this gun feel better to use? You are correct. It was one of the worst, while maintaining its identity. So We felt the more important thing was to move away from the idea of it firing a spread, which is when multiple shots are fired at the same time like a shotgun, and to allow it to fire a burst, which is when multiple shots are fired one after the other with a single trigger pull. Think pulse rifles. They said the initial version was kind of like a legendary Crimson, but then they felt it was taking something away from Crimson. And Crimson apparently fires its rounds at like 900 RPM for the 3 bullets in the burst. So what they're doing is they're making it a 600 RPM 2-bullet burst, 2-bullet burst. It's going to work and feel kind of like a 120 for damage. They say it's going to be 25 to body, 45 per crit, slightly faster TTK of 0.93, but the range is going to be a little closer than a 120. They say at about 35. So it's kind of flirting with a 120, but not quite the same, but it's a 2 burst, one after the other. Does that sound interesting at all?
I'm just gonna give my opinion as a PvP main thinker. The whole idea of a hand cannon is that you can peek shot behind things and deal a lot of damage, and then go back to cover, and then peek back out and deal your damage. And so it's like that's sort of the whole like reason that like they're like the high impact ones are good like that, right? You can use cover to like dish out your damage, and then you're safe. So by the nature of having to like sit there and like, it's the same problem with Crimson where you have to like have multiple shots. Like to me, that makes me not very excited about it. I feel like that kind of defeats a lot of the purpose of a hand cannon in the first place. But well, I don't know. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. Maybe I'll be meta. We'll see.
Are there any perks on it that you feel could be like if I saw something like kinetic trimmers on it for PvE? Especially as hand cannons are about to get like a little bit of a PvE or a lot of a PvE buff. I think it's like 75% damage or something. I forget the number. That's the only thing for like a kinetic hand cannon I could think of to even make me consider it. Are there any perks for you that what would be your dream god roll on something like this of all the perks we've got out there right now? If you could put one together.
For PvE you're talking about?
PvP for you. PvE,
for PvP,
the only thing I think of is like kinetic trimmers.
It being a pseudo 120, like it needs some sort of like a damage boost to let it 2-tap, right? Like whatever. I don't know what I guess it probably needs like kill clip or something. I don't know how much. Well, you said it does a little bit more damage than a 120. I forget what, because if it does 45,
it's 45 per crit. So I guess
90, right? If you combine them. So I mean, probably something like Rampage would do it. I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't seem all that exciting to me. But yeah, probably some sort of a thing to let it 2-tap, and then I don't know, just whatever else is good on hand cannons, like slide shot. This is also going to be after the rangefinder, which I don't think we've still have much data or info about what's coming. But like presumably rangefinder won't be desirable anymore. So
yeah.
So I mean that. Then you probably want like a, I don't know, slide shot, opening shot, whatever. And also, I guess that's another thing. Opening shot on a thing like that, does it apply to both of the bullets or just like the first one? Yeah. Another thing, I don't know. I probably still have a bad taste from Warden's Law, so I'm
you're like, I have no hope in this thing right now, so they got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, they have some proving to do in my mind.
Yeah, it's just for me. I got to see it once I get it in my hand. It's one of those things. You just got to get it out there in the field, test it, and see what it's about. But I'm surprised. New archetype and hand cannon. I just like it. Hand cannons in general are finally getting some love though. Just in general, that was kind of like the first weapon I actually fell in love in Destiny 1. I gravitated towards hand cannons, and then I feel like in D2 it slowly went away from that. Outside of like us, obviously we had a couple of moments here and there. We had Luda's Howl and all that stuff. We had the PvE had the Reign of Fatebringer. We had our moments, Austrius, but I just don't feel like hand cannons ever reach peak hand cannon meta D1.
Oh yeah, dude, like Fatebringer back in the day. I mean, that was literally my favorite PvE weapon by miles, and it's just I agree. Nothing. I guess Midnight Coup kind of had that back in year 1, but since then it's like not too often that you're using a hand cannon, which is kind of sad because hand cannons are so fun too. It just I don't know.
Yeah, they feel fun in PvP because if you do get that like 3-tap on like 370s or whatever, and all of a sudden bam bam bam, I'm like, oh, I nailed them all. And it's like can't do it much better. It's like that felt good.
Yeah.
Then I take one into PvE and I'm like, what are you doing with your life? Like you need to hit the gym. You need to get better bullets in here. I don't know what is wrong with you, but you have lost it. Like hand cannons in PvE, I'm like, they're Well, I was surprised. Like, I don't use it. Like, Malfeasance is one that like feels a little
Oh, yeah,
better now.
true. Black Wings is right. Malfeasance right now with the Catalyst is insane.
Yeah,
I
feels
will
good
give
with the
them that.
Catalyst, but I was
Yeah.
like, but it's the exotic, so you've already got the
Yeah.
the 40%. Then if it's gonna get the 75% that's coming up for majors, like it's gonna probably be one. You put that
Yes.
on like Lucky Pants on a hunter, it's like, okay, that one gun, sure.
Yeah.
Legendary hand
That's
cannons
up.
feel like crap.
Right.
Like
Crap
they feel
is-
like crap in PvE, and it's like
Thank you.
Yeah.
it's been rough for a while. So that's when you
Yeah.
pull it out in PvP, you're like, oh, this is good. Why does it not feel like this? What happened? Like it's so weird.
I feel like hand cannons are one of the most like Destiny feeling weapons too. Like there's something special about them. It's really a
Yeah.
bummer that they don't feel too good in PvE.
Yeah,
'cause
Awesome said Ace of Spades. Like, if I
Yeah.
was gonna use a hand cannon in PvP, it's Ace. Like, it still feels so good.
Mhm.
Like, that's one of those rare ones that still feels perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like one of those they nailed. Patty, I wanted to ask you about PvP as well. We get a gun here, stuff like that there. But what about? I know maps we all pray for, whether it's 1 or 12, just more. But
Mhm.
modes. If you were going to come up with 1 or 2 game modes, whether it's for Iron Banner or Comp or Control or Clash, like wherever you put it, like couple modes, like what would you bring into Destiny?
I would like to see them try some like completely different things, like inspired by other games. Like I've always been curious to try. I don't know if this would be good. It would just be interesting to try like a escort the payload type of thing, like Overwatch. You know, I don't know if you ever seen it. They have like,
yeah,
and they sort of have the infrastructure for it with the little like boats that you on
Yeah.
what's the raid. But so I feel like they kind of on Bow, yeah. So I feel like they kind of have that. It might be terrible. I don't know if it'd actually be fun, but it would be interesting to try it. I don't know. I feel like it's been so stale for so long, and I'm not a big Rift fan. Like I don't know. Even in D1, I just didn't love Rift. So which is weird because I love Capture the Flag and other games, but something about Rift just always drove me crazy.
You get Rift's name out of your mouth, Patty.
I love how somebody's like in objective mode in PvP. No,
Yeah. How dare they try new things in PvP?
no kidding.
That's
Right.
the last thing that Destiny needs.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. I've thought about it. I don't feel like I have like a solid answer. I feel like they've tried a lot of things that didn't pan out so much. Like Countdown is like kind of Counter-Strike inspired, but it's like I've been playing CS for 20 years, and I would be the person who would love it, right? Because it's like I love CS and I love Destiny, but I just never really felt like that had it. I think there's a lot of issues with it in Destiny.
See, but I feel like games like that or modes like that, they would need to almost embrace Counter-Strike more. Like if you played through it, you got a little money, you were buying weapons, you started with like junk, and I think that's why. Gambit as well. When I saw them, I thought it was like Watts when they traveled, and it was like that one on-site Gambit tournament where they had just like a set basic loadout, as opposed to all our broken crap that we have now.
Yeah.
Like it was actually that was fun to watch, and that's why I was like, what you said. We've joked about gun game like in COD where you'd cycle through like 20 exotics or something.
I was just gonna say, I think gun game would be really. The problem is just that Destiny is like so intrinsically locked to like your weapons and your loot and stuff that it gets tricky. But yeah, I would love to see that, or like a competitive mode that like has locked loadouts that's just actually like everyone gets the same guns they can choose from. I think that would be really fun, but it just feels so like, I don't know, that I don't think there's like enough of a hardcore PvP community that would embrace that. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like people like their guns. So
it's like
I don't know.
Does it need to be a hardcore community for?
Well, it probably doesn't, but I don't know. Do you think the people would be into that? Like I
was like, honestly, like we've had the
I would love to try it.
We've had the same stuff for like 7 years. It can't hurt to try it. I think that's
Yeah.
the point. And don't
That's
put
my-
it in
that's my
Crucible
thinking.
Labs.
Like,
Crucible Labs,
just
nobody plays. It's just this thing over there. Like it's a cute little, beaker. But like,
in Halo, there's a playlist that's relegated to just one icon on the playlist called Grab Bag, where they throw all the weird shit in there.
Yeah.
And some of it is like
party.
community made stuff, and it's just like party game stuff. And it's not the most competitive in the world, but it's certainly fun. And when you're tired of quick play or trials, it is great to be able to just go into a game mode where you smack each other around with gravity hammers or knock each other off of a cliff on top of a mongoose. And I think Destiny desperately needs something with that level of levity.
Mhm.
And we've, I think on this show we must have pitched like 50 different
Oh,
multiplayer
there
modes.
were a
and,
couple
easily.
episodes we were coming up
Yeah.
with a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and like 40 of them work to some degree and probably don't seem like they would be that
Mhm.
hard to implement in the game since they aren't introducing anything terribly new to the sandbox. So I just feel like if you're stagnating as a PvP and you're starting to see the playlists shrink, the easiest way you could fix that is just remix some of the content you
Mhm.
already have with some weird modes. And I also think user created content is something that Destiny
I was just
seems
gonna
oddly
say,
out of touch about.
yeah,
Like,
Battlefield
what?
Portal. Have you? I don't know if you guys have
Oh, I know what
experience
you're
with it,
talking
but I
about,
feel
yeah.
like they basically said, okay, here's like all of the things in Battlefield. You
Yeah.
mix it together with your own rules and figure out like. And I feel like something like that in
Yeah.
Destiny could be so cool.
Yeah,
Well,
I
that
think
was
they
what
need like a forge mode either
Yeah,
for
yeah.
making new maps. Like,
Mhm.
hey, if Bungie doesn't want to make new maps, the least they can do is outsource it to fans that will do that work for free. And I feel
100%.
like the same can be said of
Mhm.
game modes where, instead of maybe choosing a movie of the week, which feels like a 2003 move, maybe make it, the user created content of the week where you highlight a game mode or a map or something cool that somebody's working on.
Yes.
But for that to happen, you have to kind of hand some of those keys over to the players and let them mix around with it. And for a live service game, Destiny feels weirdly behind the curve on that with
Yeah.
when it comes to user created content. So I think that's like something that if they're not already talking about, it's only a matter of time. Like that's the path forward, I think.
Yeah.
Well, that's like private matches always felt like a quarter of a step to what they should be because private matches should have been custom games. Set what weapons you want in there. Go through and have all the settings. Like they've had how many years to take private matches and give you more custom games. And then if you do that, and you could have a matchmaking into whatever, as you said, like the party mode or something. And if somebody makes one, maybe you go into a custom game and it kind of pops up a quick thing about like what the variations are. It's like supers are up in 1 second or supers take like 5 minutes, but headshot kills get you. I mean, you could tweak so much random stuff
Yeah.
if they let you like just turn some of the dials and flick some of the switches off and on, like turn off all the exotics for a change and just like see what happens there. It's like just mess with stuff like that. The custom game modes, even like the maps, you could be like, all right, how do we make Disjunction fun? Somebody figure it out. Like maybe you do, I don't know. So I agree when it's like the whole user created content, custom games is in so many PvP things. I feel like it's just begging to be made here. So I agree on that completely. Real quick to TP Hayden78 with the $20 super chat. Love you all. Love seeing Voltron back together again. There you go. Thank you. The whole
There we
podcast
go.
crew is here. Plus guest. He's
I'm a leg. I'm one of the legs.
4 arms and body.
I would love to see gun game with just exotics. Yeah, I was like, I think that writes
That'd be
itself.
fun.
And I
Yep.
can see it double as a
We've said that.
Well, they said like it doubles as a preview of exotic guns for free to play players. I'm like, dude is marketing it for you here. He even just gave you a reason to put it in the game. You're like, what's this cool gun? How do I get it? Go look it up.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Well,
Juggernaut. I've always said we should have Juggernaut where somebody just
Mhm.
has their super infinitely, roaming super forever, and the rest of the team has to kill that
Yeah.
guy to become the Juggernaut, and you only get
Ah.
points if you get kills as the Juggernaut. Like
So
that,
infinite.
that would just
Have
be
Have you seen in
dope.
Overwatch? There's a like custom modes where there's like a giant like Sombra or whatever versus or like like a Hanzo or something versus like 20 small Hanzos or something. So
That's
that would be
cool.
pretty
Great
funny to
idea.
try.
A
fight, like,
crazy giant sledgehammer Titan marching.
yeah,
like,
versus
and,
like 20 little hunters or something.
Yeah.
That would be
Bing,
pretty
bing,
funny
bing,
to try.
They're like
Yeah,
shooting all their
feel
little
like,
bows and arrows at this like giant Titan.
Yeah.
there's a problem in some games. I feel like some companies are better breaking away from it than others, but like a lot of the like silliness in games has gotten taken away because some
Yes.
franchises have been really good about being silly even when they're serious games. Like I know I keep bringing up Halo because it's just like on my mind in terms of live service multiplayer games, but like that is a very serious franchise that takes itself seriously and its story seriously, and then in multiplayer they just do the most outrageous shit that is like crazy and weird, and I feel like the farther we get away from that, the less fun we're going to have as a community. And I really want to see Destiny embrace some of its silliness because it does in a lot of areas. Like it very clearly is not afraid of like the ridiculous emotes.
We're
and
baking
some of
cookies
the
with
crossover
Eva
stuff.
Levante. I mean, come
The
on.
cookies thing, like a lot of it has been very silly for a long period of time, and then paradoxically, they seem really stringent about certain areas of the game and don't want to hand over too much to the players or just be weird. And
But don't do
I'm like,
but
just
don't
be
do
weird.
God of War armor sets though. Don't do that.
Oh, yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. That's not the Lord's work.
He walked into that himself.
My problem is with the God of War armor suit is that they're charging you for their cheap cross-promotional fun in a game that badly needs content in a number of areas.
I'm not arguing all that. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. I'm not going to argue this
I just
again.
give you a hard time.
You whores.
Oh, wow.
You freaking Bungie geishas. Go out there, you
He doesn't even
trollops.
go with like Bungie shill or anything. He goes with geisha. He has to be all fancy about his insults. That's Travis for you.
There you go.
But yeah, there wasn't too much else. Like, it seems like this is kind of the preamble of the information that's going to be coming. And again, it's going to be like any preseasonal stuff. We're going to get sandbox. We're going to get an ability pass. We're going to get, maybe some currency mods, whatever, that kind of stuff. Aspects, maybe fragments, who knows, for Strand. We'll probably get a couple of those. That's what we're going to see over the next few weeks. And then I really hate being a content creator on these showcase days now, because they give you 1 hour to both digest, make the content, try and make a video, and then jump into the new season and then do that as well. And I'm like, why? Why so much? Cross is like the only one who has a team who can like live react to it, post that video, then start playing the season, and then put out the guide about the season. I'm like, it's not fair. It is going to be a very, very busy. Oh, I just wanted to list this off for you guys, by the way. Mortals of Abium, August 22nd. Destiny Season 22, August 22nd. Armored Core 6, which is looking sick, by the way, August 25th. Sea of Stars, that's a one soft spot in my heart, but looks fantastic as well, August 29th. Early access for Starfield, September 1st. And now the raid is going to be on September 1st. So it's kind of our final topic outside of that insane run of games, much less anything else that comes out in that time. How many of you guys are going to be playing Starfield, and how many of you guys are going to be running the raid?
The old raid.
Yeah, it's it is a reprised raid.
It's an old raid versus Starfield. Yeah, I'm good. I think I'm going to be playing anything else that day. Sorry.
You're not going to be trying to do contest mode and then challenge mode with the contest mode and the triumphs?
I have to wash my hair that day, actually, as I understand it. So I'm good.
Depends on which raid it is.
Okay.
There's only one raid to get Cod to come outside. There's only one left that's getting me to come outside. If not, if it's anything else, I will be doing my Starfield early access.
So if it is not Wrath, if it is Wrath, if it's Wrath, what are you doing?
I got a problem.
Okay.
I love Wrath way too much. I will do Wrath day one. I want to see the Killer Zamboni. I need Siva. Wrath, you do that, I'm outside. But if it's anything other than that, if they give me Leviathan Apartment 2B, they give me Crota.
What if they gave you the Super Leviathan? What if they did that?
No. I see.
Really?
See
you're
after.
telling me, Cog, that you're going to be playing Wrath of the goddamn Machines on the day that Starfield comes out. That's the life choice you want to make.
No, wait, hold on.
I don't know if he's doing that.
Correct.
I think that is a lie, and I don't even think you believe that. I don't even think you
I'm doing that.
No, unless he has 2 weeks early access and he's reviewing it behind the scenes.
Listen.
Then he would probably be able to make that one day sacrifice.
Stop snitching. Anyway,
see how you're playing this game.
For normal people, this comes out on. This is an early access for Starfield, which means you've got all from September 1st. Early access for multiple days. You can sacrifice, well, not you guys, but I can sacrifice one day to play one of my favorite raids of all time. Like, Wrath is the most fun I've had in a raid. This is even some of my beloved ones, or even over Vault and all this other stuff. So, no, I got to see it. I would love to see it. But in my heart, I'm starting to feel like, man, they ain't going to do it. Like, I'm going to feel like they know that it's such a beloved raid, and I feel like they know hey, this is our rainy
They're gonna
day
save that for
when the
think they're
player
season.
saying
base is
that.
even
That's
lower.
like
Yeah.
season
This,
Right,
is,
yeah.
this
That's
isn't a rainy
26.
day, Cog. When
It
is the
You're
rainy
right.
day?
That's fair.
This
That's
is
fair.
Now that you're right. That you're right. So there's a chance it could come, right? Because things are looking spooky
I
right
just
now.
don't, Cog. That's
I love that
crazy to
raid.
me.
I love that raid, bro.
I know
don't
that you love the
understand.
raid, but you can play it importantly right now if you want. You know, Destiny 1 is
Right.
still a lot around. You can go and play it. And who is going to choose that over the new frontier of an exciting new
Absolutely.
game like a Bethesda game?
Start-
Why would you
start-
Why would you do that to
This is what you do.
yourself, Cog?
September
Because
1st comes
he's gonna get a
around.
chance to review the game for
at-
Defining Duke with Maddie.
This guy's
Cog has never reviewed a game in his life. I will never. Look, come on.
Listen, as we all know with these early access, there's usually a midnight thing that generally happens, right? So I will have time to blaze Starfield, New Frontier, create my
You're gonna
character, all
blaze
that
this
stuff.
like 5,000 hour
Blaze.
RPG.
Then, okay, here's it is, y'all. At 1 o'clock. This is the day Bungie said, all right, guys, get in there, kill ourselves for a few hours. All right, it was done. We didn't make it. All right, cool. Let's get back to Starfield. See you later. It's one day. It's early access. It's only a few of us that's gonna be paying this money to pay it early and stuff like that. But
Gary in chat's like, I would love to see Cog do reviews, and it's like, I want to hear your reviews. Like, and we are live with the review of Starfield. So
I love Wrath, man. I do. That would be the only one that would break me. Anything else, nah. Starfield it is.
I was like, that it's interesting. Now, this is the other question.
But to your,
I was gonna ask. Previous reprise, like King's Fall and Vault, you guys gonna like tell me if I'm crazy. Was it 3 days or was it 10 days? Because this is a 10-day window.
Yeah.
I honestly can't remember, but I thought the reprises were 3, if I remember right, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Right.
Okay, so here's the question. As they haven't said that there isn't going to be a light increase, they said about 21. But they didn't really say. Do you think the 10-day window could be anything like, hey, there's going to be a little leveling this season? They were 3 before. Okay. So do you think with a 10-day window, there's any type of leveling involved in this new upcoming season?
Seem to be going away from it. I don't know what you think, Patty.
Yeah, they seem to be going away from it. I hope they are. I'm so tired of leveling. But I mean, probably if anything, I think maybe like 10 levels. Like, I mean, probably
Pinnacle
like,
again.
and then we probably have the same situation, right, with the contest mode where it wouldn't even matter. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see them doing like a giant
Like an expansion level 200 pop.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I hope
no,
not.
they hadn't mentioned it. The 10-day window. Just maybe it's just the way the story beats play out. They wanted like the first week for you to focus on the season, second week do the raid. But
yeah,
the fact that they didn't have
dungeon
season, like that means I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of hoping they'll move away from it, I guess.
Well, and like the dungeons even drop on like day 3 of the season, and even previous raids were 3 days. So it was weird. It was 10 days, and do you guys think it has any tie into like, please don't leave us for Starfield? Like, do you think they would even try and get some of their player base?
I've got a point though. It is desperate times. He does a point. I mean, it depends. But I think what me and you talked about is from a development standpoint, Wrath is difficult because
it's hard to bring it forward.
Splicers are not even in the game.
Yeah.
Right. Then Outbreak Prime was part of the exotic for the raid, which exists as Perfected.
Yeah.
As a quest, so that it's more development time to make Wrath of the Machine. So my hope is I went out by default. It's not next. They need more time to do all this other stuff.
So
they
save
it for an even more rainier day.
Yeah,
if it's Crota, I'm like, oh, that's a dungeon. I'll get to that when I get to that and I come.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I ain't worried about it. But if if they did all the dev time for Wrath and they give it the nice coat of paint and I need to see that killer Zamboni. I need to kill Meeksis. What's the dude? And then you put the parts in the thing. And
look, I love that game, that encounter and that raid too. But this is not something that is going to save Destiny in any meaningful
not at all.
way.
It's
not even. I don't even think it's a drop in the bucket, to be honest. Especially on the day that they're dropping it, I feel like it's almost going to obfuscate or lower any participation that would have happened for that event. So I think the timing is a mistake. Now the question is Bungie banking on, well, we don't think the overlap of Starfield players and Destiny players is all that important. I think
Your Twitch
Bungie
raid race,
probably-
though.
I think Bungie does not believe that. I think that Bungie thinks that the Starfield and Destiny player base has an incredible overlap, which I would agree with. But consider their parent company. Their parent company
Ooh.
that does not have that game coming out on
Correct.
their platform of choice.
Correct.
Right. And so I think the way that they're looking at it as, this is a way to give our player base who don't have Starfield on our parent company's
Something to do.
platform something to do on that day.
Good
And I
point.
think that is a totally fair move. I do not think it's a good move for Destiny, but I think it's probably a good idea for PlayStation to think about how they're going to deal with that day, because that's going to be a dark day in Sony history, I assume.
Shout out to Forte. I
Yeah,
did not
Forte,
buy the Constellation
Constellation
edition.
edition.
I'm supposed to not play it
Yeah,
on September.
I mean,
Bungie
that's-
did Scooter.
That's fair. Like whether you do the Game Pass upgrade for the $35 or you do the $100 edition, people are paying to get that thing early.
Oh, for sure.
That's the raid's going to be sitting there. It's like, it's a contest raid, and I'm probably not going to win anyway. We'll get to that. Like, I mean, that's like, but that's the whole thing. Is like contest is cool, and I do enjoy the contest experience depending on how it's balanced. And that's the annoying thing for me about reprised raids. The contest mode for Root. Granted, that was probably easier than a lot of people thought it should have been. But even the contest mode for Vow, we were this close on the final boss, but it felt balanced. But I knew if we beat him, we would be done. The thing about the reprise raids that does bug me, though, you got to go through, beat it once, then you got to turn around and do challenge mode, which is harder, and then you got to do all the special triumphs.
Oh, no, I
like,
ain't doing all that. No. Like, I'm beating it once, and I'm back
well,
to
that's
start.
kind of the thing. Like, then I was like, then at that point, I'm like, do I care? Like, contest isn't available later, fine, but I'm like, if I just want to experience the raid at a later date, like, you're going to steamroll it in 48 hours. Like,
can we
that's
make a bet? Can I make a bet here?
Let's go.
Because I like craps because you can
I actually
make
like
money
craps
by
too. Thank you. Yeah.
because you can make money by not believing in people.
You can
And
bet
so
against
I
the
would
you
like
can bet against the table. Yeah.
I would like to do that now. I'm
Okay.
going to bet against Cog. I will bet 24 hours after the raid becomes available, Cog will not have beaten it. That's my bet.
Oh, that's a strong bet that could happen with contest mode, because I think it's only one. I don't think I've beaten the contest mode rate. I don't know. I think
Are you
about it. I
going to
don't
make
think
this bet if it's not Wrath though? Because he may not even touch it if it's not Wrath.
Yeah, we're
Okay,
not
if
rapping.
it's Wrath, I still think he won't do it. I'll even go further. I'll say
go.
Cog
Let's go.
won't beat that first. He won't get his
The
first
first
loot
encounter?
drop. The first encounter. in the first 24 hours.
Ooh, okay, I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, let's do
I'll take
it. What are we
that. Let's do
betting?
that.
What's this gentleman bet?
What's the gentleman's bet?
What's the
We'll
one they do on IGN like podcast, like a pizza bet or a
They do in and out bets
In-N-Out
because
bets,
it's
yeah.
Yeah, internet.
California. but
Do it, keep it rhyming.
do you like in and out, Cog? I don't know. It's not for
Have
everyone.
it.
Shake
I have
Shack's
it.
better than In-N-Out. So
Yeah, I'll have that or a fat burger.
All right.
Either, let's do that.
A gentleman's dinner. I'll buy you 18 margaritas or whatever it was last time.
First
you
encounter.
can-
Yes. Oh, yes.
yeah.
I would
That
take a
was,
margarita instead of this.
Extra salt for this guy. He likes extra
I
salt
had
in
a
his
margarita
margarita.
last night. Actually, my wife and I went out for our birthday dinner to where we usually go. But I was like, I normally get a
Didn't realize you were doing so well. He didn't know this was a show about how good E is doing in his life. Jeez. Okay.
But we usually do for celebrations. We go like once
Yes.
or twice a year. God.
Ooh.
No, but I had a margarita.
Marks every night. That's just how he rolls, you know.
Every night.
Yeah, from the guy who really doesn't drink that much. No, I was just saying for Cog, I was gonna say I had a margarita that had hibiscus vanilla salt.
Interesting.
It was a very fancy margarita. It was actually very
Yeah, that's
smooth. Like the
very
margarita was
bougie.
really smooth to drink. I could have had like 4 of them, and I would have been pretty fuzzy. But you know, they're very easy to drink. But yeah, it was a hibiscus vanilla
comment.
salt.
Hold
Hard
it
to
in,
make a
Travis.
comment. Oh, my normal drink's a lemon drop. You can make fun of me all you want. I will have my first date with my wife. I had a pomegranate margarita, so I'm comfortable drinking whatever the hell I want. I don't have to have like be a mint, drink whiskey. Could care less.
Yeah, it's on. Bet is on. I like that. I'm gonna tear that cable guy up in that first encounter. I ain't worried about that at all. That's easy. That's the first. Oh, this is easy. But what are we gonna have you do? We gonna have you
Yeah, what's he got to do?
Well, what you gonna do? What you gonna do, Chad? What you
Yeah,
gonna do
what's
for
the
me?
losing option?
What I'm gonna have
here?
you do for me?
What's that?
You
What you
no, I
lose?
got it. You
What
can
we
make you can make him grind comp to max score.
Oh, that's evil though. I couldn't do it. That's not it.
I
That's
would
an undertaking.
that with those stakes. As I understood it, one of us was going to buy the other person a dinner.
Oh yeah,
what
that's
it
right.
sounded
there you
Okay,
go.
no, you're right. You're right. I was being extra. I was being extra. I got too excited.
You're gonna buy him a fancy San
Look,
Francisco
I
dinner.
still don't believe in Cog, but I don't not believe in him enough to endanger myself. Like me getting like
Suck into
no,
Cog for
Fair enough. Gentlemen did a bet.
Patty. Are
A big
you
bet.
excited for season 22? Like at all? See if my voice can get any higher.
I get it.
please?
It depends on that showcase, I think, right? Like if they give us something to be excited about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
True.
I don't know. I will say if it is Crota, I would like to use Necrochasm again. Like if that's
I
one,
do-
because
I was like,
do
yeah,
kind of miss using
That would be
be
the
fun.
logical. That would be the logical exotic actually for Crota.
Yeah.
That makes sense too. And that I think no bet's gonna happen. It's probably gonna be Crota. And
what gun did you say?
Necrochasm.
Necrochasm, the Crota, the auto rifle, the
That's illegal in most states.
No, but I was thinking like Leviathan. You've got Acrius,
Yeah.
and
Which
then
we already have.
Scourge. What was Scourge's exotic? Did it have one?
Yeah, Scourge was
There's
Anarchy,
Anarchy,
right?
Oh,
Yeah.
Anarchy. Okay,
Mhm.
and that one's already hanging out there too. Like Crota's literally the only thing that has an
Crota makes
exotic that
sense.
they don't have to create.
Crota makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, Crota makes sense.
Oversoul Edict Pulse. Yeah, I was like, I can see them
That was a
having
good
some
one.
fun with some.
Mhm.
If
I
they do
actually
some
like some of
cool
the
raid
weapons from
perks
it, yeah.
too, from like Crota weapons, like you got good weapons, good raid perks. Give me a fun origin trade in there. It'll be a fun
Yeah.
one to go through if they can.
Baby.
Now I'll be curious if it's like copy paste or remix.
I think they give us a
Remix.
legendary Black Hammer, like back in
Oh, that
Destiny
would be
1.
crazy. That Black Hammer comes, but it can't be like, yeah.
Rifle meta come back.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Got to throw
Oh,
some love to
man.
the pod that turned me on to ILP. Shout out to Eiler and Lord's podcast. They are killing it lately.
Thank you,
And the
brother.
Bitcast both on Sundays, defining Duke 2,
Oh,
and of
wow.
course, one of my favorite D2 creators, PattyCakes. Perfect lineup today.
Oh.
Gary DeBrown with like all the love today.
Hey,
Thank you
shout
very
out to
much,
all the
sir.
cast. Big
Right,
cast. That's love. Salute, Gary.
God, he watches me 2 shows. That's
That's a lot of That is a lot of Travis. I don't even
A
do
lot of
that.
Travis to deal with.
Dude, that's exhausting.
Yeah, that's a lot of Travis. That's all. You're nearing his wife's level, or fiance, I should say.
Mhm.
No, she doesn't talk to me. She's lucky, honestly.
Mhm.
Well, you do put out more reviews than anyone ever in the like history of IGN for like
Who puts out?
you. You put out reviews. You don't put out. You just
Oh,
put out
reviews.
reviews. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said you don't talk to your
Okay.
wife, so obviously you don't put out. But
Yeah.
Shots.
Not to her. I think I was Cog and Teddy every once in a while. But, you know, we boys will be boys.
Boys, boys.
Patty, how you doing, bud? Yeah. I know this is kind of falling off the rails. I don't have a
Yeah,
whole
we-
lot else at this point because I think we've kind of touched on everything. Patty, what is give me 1 or 2 dream reveals from the showcase, whatever they are. Let's just see if they hold up. So this is in history.
Like, how realistic are these things?
Doesn't have to be real. Could be totally real. It's up to you.
Well, I mean, dedicated servers for PvP with like, what'd you say?
What'd you say, Travis?
What'd you say, Travis?
I didn't hear. I missed with chat.
It was too fast, and yeah, it
Too
wasn't.
fast.
Pie in the sky. Stack those patty
pie-
cakes as
Oh
high.
yeah, yeah.
as-
Stack those
Stack
patty cakes. There you go.
Yeah,
there you
yeah.
go.
Number 1 request: dedicated servers, PvP, connection-based matchmaking. But
You really going
Do you have one that might actually happen in the next 17 years?
The final shape.
I mean, yeah, I guess like the real one, like we talked about, would be like a D3 announcement. Like I mean, I think that's
Okay.
pretty unrealistic, to be honest. But I mean, that would get me very excited. So.
I would be surprised if there
Yeah.
was some, maybe not a D3, but some rebranding of
Yeah.
Destiny.
Rebranding
That's really-
Destiny Universe, whatever you
Like
want to call
I
it.
said, that's really what I'm looking for. It's just like what's the next 2 or 3 years looking
Yeah.
like for this game? Is it worth continuing as a creator to invest in it, or I got to kind of diversify more? So
Quite a comment there, Travis, and from Gary.
Yeah, I'm reading that,
Mhm.
buddy. My prediction, or what I guess it's not a prediction, but what I'd like to see is I want them to fully open the kimono on what the new seasonal model is going to be in the future. And
Always with
I-
the innuendo. Love it.
Yeah, where's
I
your damn-
predict Hey, that's a common saying. I didn't even come up with that. I just, that's just
In what
businessmen.
circles?
Yeah, but open,
Yeah.
like what massage parlors are you going to where they're opening the kimonos, buddy?
Opening up the kimonos.
Term, y'all. Just because you guys jobs, get over it. All right, so no, my hope is that they will explain the seasonal model and I already forgot the other thing. Oh, I want them to fully show the new faction that
But
it's
you said
definitely
fully
gonna-
showed nudes for a
Ooh.
second there.
Look at Ida. Look at Ida went left.
the gutter. Like, what's going on here? I was the most person tonight. All right.
I just hold
I
back.
want them-
I've just been holding it back for 259 episodes. That's all. So it's fine.
you got blue balls. Is that what you're
You
saying?
have no idea. No, just kidding.
Innuendo. All right.
Innuendo. Yeah, my
Poor
innuendo.
PattyCakes. He's like, what the hell? I
And
want
he was
this.
like, we were good for like most of the show, and then they just like went off.
Last word after dark. Continue.
I want them to show the new faction, and
Okay.
that's like my. First of all, there's a lot of trepidation with this prediction because one, I have to be right that there's a new faction, which I personally think I'm right, but whatever. I always think I'm right, and otherwise I wouldn't think it, right? Anyway, and two, I want them to like show it and go into detail of like, hey, there's this guy, there's this guy, there's this guy, and kind of unveil who we're going to be fighting in the final shape. That is my hope. And obviously I have more serious hopes about like the future of Destiny and them telling us what's down the road and what the game's going to look like in the future. All of that awesome, but I'm going to taper my expectations and talk about final shape predictions, which are new faction. That's what I want them to talk about.
Give me your maybe realistic or pie in the sky, whatever you're feeling.
Mine's is simple. Cade 6. It's time. We need to know. We need to talk. We need to know how permanent the role is, because it definitely seems like he's going to be here for a while. I think that's going to be huge marketing blitz. Yep, it's going to be huge. And if they somehow pull it off, they're going to get people emotionally invested with Nathan Fillion. This man literally carried Destiny story for a long time during the bad days. We just, he had those good one-liners, and he would interrupt and be foolish, and that would make the narrative. That was Destiny
off my map.
Exactly. That was Destiny was narrative. We waited for what Cade was going to do. So him being a huge part, getting up to speed, the whole what has happened, with his essence and so on and so forth, and Ghost, they got to explain that, the paracausal stuff. So the lore thing for me, I want to see that old Vidoc energy. Just get out there, have the faces that we know and love, explain truly what's happening. What they're generally good about is some type of partnership or reveal that expands Destiny in some way in conjunction with this. And they're usually good about some new feature that we're like, oh, that's actually
here's one I bet I could get you on board for. The next with Final Shape.
Mm-hmm.
This is for you, by the way.
All right,
they're going to do a PlayStation crossover, and it's Final Fantasy VII.
Listen, man. That's disgust, Travis. You just disgusted him right now. But I would definitely be like, hey, you want to throw bust?
Silence, brand.
That
one's for you. That one's for you.
No, but look, just you got to get us excited, and all the major players. I need my Avengers Endgame moments. I need all the major players, the stakes being high, actually advancing the story, and then showing Destiny the future of the game and making sure that it's going in a direction that people are actually excited for. And you got to prove that, Marathon's here, we know, but we ain't forget you. Like, this is, you are our core guys. Like, this is what we've been doing. I know you've been patient. And, it'd be great to see Luke. I haven't seen Luke Smith in a while. Say, hey, Luke, how you doing? Hey.
He's so multiple layers removed.
Mark Noseworthy. Hey, we usually the big reveals, they come out and they might talk about that partnership or whatever. Hey, we are on this platform and we're doing this, or this cool new feature. Every time it's been like cross-play, it's been something. And I think, and maybe part of it is also the realization of what was it? It was a failed guided games at one point, but the actual playing of people together to merge this whack commendation system that you ain't really fully. Please, let's get to the vision of playing together and getting this base up. So they got some things they could do. I think they'll do a decent job. getting the hype up. It's just a matter of does the base feel like, okay, this is a substantial media update, and they're ready to go.
Mine would be the other
Yes.
direction, since you guys have already said all good ones. Mine would be the other direction of everything that's in the Destiny content vault right now. We have finished polishing, and it's back in the game. You got the Red War campaign, and you got Forsaken,
wow.
and you're
Oh,
back.
wow. I'll call Maddie up immediately for that one.
Yeah,
What? Okay. That's what's up.
that's the pie in the sky dream. It's like whether it's coming or we got like, this campaign will be here or whatever. But it's like they're emptying the content vault back into Destiny 2.
Now, listen, a lot of people would love to play those stories. We'll see. That'll be hot.
It's like,
Red War
again,
campaign's
that's
amazing.
like beyond Patty's
That'd be hot.
stack of pie in the sky. So
So
Yes.
say that I might be more likely to have Destiny 3, but
Oh yeah,
yeah. No, I was
Yeah,
like, you're
yeah,
probably
yeah.
right,
You're right.
but yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
Destiny 3, I don't think is that
Mhm.
crazy. I think it's
No.
probably that they say, hey, the next chapter of Destiny is called just Destiny rather than Destiny 3 or some subtitle or whatever. But I don't think it's that crazy of a guess.
Yeah.
There's got to be something. They're gonna have to say something about what's happening next year because this
Yeah.
is their showcase before they presumably have an ad advertising.
Yeah,
the
because
next
this
thing.
is the showcase. Then Final Shape, if they're on their very set cadence, is going to be February. And then
Yeah.
Final Shape will have
Yes,
seasons,
yeah.
but somewhere like
It'll be early next year, and by that point in time, they're already going to have the marketing train starting for whatever happens after, assuming they're not skipping a year, which all indications show that they're not.
yeah,
Which means that they're going to have to show something. They're going to have to tell us something about what's going
Yeah,
on with Destiny
about
after the
what's
final
going on.
shape. Because by the time the final shape's out, we're already going to be talking seasons
yep.
Yes.
post final shape.
Facts.
So what are people buying when they buy a year of final shape? You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
that question has to be answered.
Yep.
And I think they will
Absolutely.
answer it. I know for a fact they will because they told me that they're going to.
Yeah.
With that confidence, it is a great place to end the show. Patty, it has been amazing to
Mhm.
have you. I know we kept it a little over 2, but thank you for spending the Thursday evening with us. At this point, the floor is yours to tell people where to find you, where to buy your mouse pads, where to do all the things
Yeah.
related to PattyCakes. Support this man. You're up.
Well, thank you for having me. It's fun. Once again, awesome to chat with you guys. Hopefully, you're all going to be at G6 next week, right? Get to hang out in
Travis-
person.
we
Travis
don't
is
have our
opting
tie
out.
Travis.
Yeah,
Oh,
Travis
We don't
is
have our
opting
tie
out.
on this time. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I went last year and it was an unparalleled nightmare. Not going again. Have fun though. Have fun. I will see photos and be sad that I'm not photo bombing them in the background.
Travis is gonna
I need
be-
your face right here.
Travis is
Doing-
going to be a solo podcast next week. He will be the
Exactly.
only one, and there is no way I would leave that
New-
man alone.
news to him.
I would never. I don't know if I would let Travis alone. No,
We'll
I know
talk.
he's a very professional man, but leaving him alone with my channel would also be very scary. So
oh man. Yeah.
sorry.
Well, anyway, we'll
Back
three of us
to
will
our
get to hang
guest.
out.
My apologies.
So yeah, on probably easiest place to follow me, YouTube. PattyCakes Gaming is my main thing. If you're on Twitter, PattyCakes GG, and you mentioned our mouse pads. I have some mouse pads I created for this new company called Ember Edge, and it's just emberedge.com. So they're awesome. People seem to love them, so I like them. I've been using them ever since we made them. So
I would hope so.
yeah,
These great mouse pads that you're talking about.
yeah, they're fantastic.
No
So
doubt. No doubt. Yeah, check
Travis,
it
what do
out.
you got cooking, or is it all embargoed?
I think most of it's embargoed, but I'm doing 2 reviews this week, and I've got some other stuff going on. And then you can also see me on a show. Last Saturday, I did a show called Lawyers and Dragons.
Oh, you did that with
which
the
was it was good. It was good. It's a D&D show. I was a guest character named Captain Leox Fraud. I was a grifter and a panjandrum of sorts, and it was a good time. So you can see me
So
doing
like
that.
when the dragon goes to cast like Fireball level 20, does the lawyer respond with like I object level 70 or something? Like, is it?
I think the joke is that every player is a lawyer, and therefore a lot of the stuff that happens in the game is really pedantic people having a lot of follow-up legal questions about the stuff that happens in a fantasy world of Dungeons and Dragons. That said, the group plays like a bunch of murder hobo reprobates, and so it is
A word and a half right there.
very chaotic energy, and I was anticipating that my grifter character would really throw a screw in their machinations, but it actually ended up playing into their hands perfectly because they're all just agents of chaos, and I was like, man, these are my people. Let's go. You guys are all psychopaths. So it was nice. Good time. So you can watch me that over on Hoglaw's YouTube channel, and then I'm on Bitcast every Sunday, and just type Travis Northup IGN and you'll see all the stuff I'm working on. And I've done a whole bunch of content this past month, and I've got some good stuff going. Gary DeBrown says Travis has got some acting skills. I saw it. Yes, I do characters, so I did an accent and stuff. It was a good time.
Nice.
Cog,
Yeah.
any snazziness coming up for your 17 podcasts?
I know, right? Just shout out to PattyCakes for coming through. Always good to talk to him, get those takes. Good to see our PvP brethren, thriving and doing their thing. I like your kind of like the death by 1,000 cuts.
Thank you.
Excellent stuff, brother. Excellent stuff. So always try to sneak in when a video comes up of yours on my timeline. So salute to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anytime. For me, ILP this Sunday. We're just trying to figure things out as far as guest wise. We have Web Dave on, just catching up. We also may be doing Spawn on Me with Khalif.
Nice.
Some planned. Shout out. I think he's now part of Fire Team chat now with
yes.
what you call not Fire Team, excuse me, Podcast Unlocked.
Yes.
With with Ryan. And then Defining Duke we just recorded. Go check that out. Me and Maddie talking about what's been going on with the latest Starfield information. And getting prepped to see you next week. It's coming around, right? Good to see your face. Fun. And a couple other people that I know will be there. Obviously, we will miss Trav. We'll miss our little Scion. The 2 Cabal meat boxes will be alone, but we miss our Scion. And
they will be alone.
Ooh, maybe it was on 10. But I got to get the margaritas, bro. We got to get the margaritas. I got to get the get fat from strength picture that we do.
Everybody picks just like whatever restaurant they can find a table on that first day at dinner is just like, as everybody's just like trickling in from planes, that whole restaurant row is just like scattered with everybody. It's kind of hilarious. So yeah, we'll definitely have to do that one.
Some equipment and that knows how to record. We'll see.
Yeah.
G Flawless will never let me hear the end of that story that I butchered. Shout out to Sarko. Shout out to who else was there? Back was there. And Seth was there that time.
Are you talking about the lost episode of the show?
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Sometimes I think of that. Like I'll be in the shower and that'll just come into my head. And
I don't want to know where this sentence is going.
Wait. I have to scream it out of my brain. Like I have to because it's like one of those moments that fills me with such a vile cringe. I'm just like, I don't want to think of that.
Because the camera turned off and then we had to reset.
Oh my god, dude, that was so bad. And remember, we had to talk about the same topics 3 times. We had to restart the segment and be like, all right, we'll just recreate what we just did because we didn't get any of that.
That never, even if I could have found the pieces, which I never could even find the beginning piece, even if I could do that, it would be just bad conversation. So I was like, for me, go ahead.
No, that was it. Just looking forward to a couple of faces I haven't seen in at GCX that I know will be pulling up, and obviously Patty's gonna be there, so I gotta get a good handshake and a hug from the homie, and some other faces. But what you got, E?
Kind of enjoying this a little bit of time before the end of August is going to try and kill me, possibly with everything that it's going to bring. So right now, just enjoying Revenant. Probably going to get up to 100 hours, I'm sure, since I'm loving the hell out of that game. Looking for
you going for 100 completionist? Are you trying to complete that
game? I want to get all the subclasses, but then it's like for every relic and everything else, there's so many more little things to get. So it just kind of, I don't know if I'm going to do like an apocalypse playthrough or anything. So I was like, I don't think I'm probably going to go that far.
Somebody at IGN now has every gun in the game, every weapon actually, including melee weapons. And that took him hundreds of hours. And that's all he focused on. Literally, he spent every penny he has on getting just the weapons, so none of his stuff is upgraded. He literally just went full on trying to get every weapon so he could put a screenshot on our wiki. Shout out to the IGN wiki, by the way. The Remnant 2 wiki team is doing everything they can to document all the different paths in that game and different side quests and stuff you can get. And in a game like this where everything's procedurally generated, that is super hard to document all of it. And so shout out to the team if you do end up getting into Remnant and have questions, you should check out our wiki for the game because they're doing God's work. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like if I make guides, it's going to be like, oh, here's how to beat a boss or something, like making a full area walkthrough. Like, here's everything in Lonesome. That video would be like 4 hours long, and even then,
Yeah.
probably not covered all. So it's no, game's crazy. Have fun with it, and a little Destiny here and then scattered in between. But yeah, looking forward to GCX. Looking forward to seeing a lot of faces again and hanging out there. And I was even wondering, like, do I need to bring a swimsuit? Maybe, but I don't even know if I'll have much use for it for a while I'm there. So probably just a lot of hanging out and having fun. So looking
Yeah,
forward
man.
to it again, which means show's going to be off next week. We will be in Florida. Most of us will. Travis will be reviewing 17 games at the same time with 4 eyeballs and all
Mhm.
that stuff. He's pulling a Doctor Strange. And for the rest of us, we will be in Florida cooking. Hopefully not too bad, though, since it's air conditioned.
I just
All
want
right.
to say, if I didn't have a whole bunch of reviews, and if I even with how bad Florida is, seeing you guys almost make it worth it. So
Aw, buddy.
say hi to my boys in Florida for me. I'm gonna be
course.
bummed when I see all those photos come through and thinking about how I'm not there. But yeah,
Mister.
Yeah, we're gonna have
Miss
to
you
guilt
guys.
trip him with all the photos. Just everything tag and
Well-
be like, "Hey Travis, you missed this guy. Hey Travis, you missed this miss."
I mean, I don't care about any of the other people there, so that's not gonna work on me.
Okay.
But pictures of you two will make me
Okay,
sad.
yeah.
Oh,
And yeah, you guys will be in SF this time next year because I'm getting married and you guys have to
Yeah.
go. So
yes.
Does,
Yes.
get
does
ready
seem
for
like
that.
I'll take that. I'll take your
Mhm.
San Francisco weather over mine right now in
Yeah,
August.
it's
great.
That's not gonna be hard to do.
62 degrees right
Do you want to
now.
go to San Francisco in
Oh.
August when it's 100 in Dallas? Yes, I do. Easiest sell ever. So, all right.
Mhm.
Thank you guys very much for episode number 259. It has been
The
the
last
last
word.
word.